Third time's the charm. Okay, I assume you can all now hear me. I had to unmute it and I had to set it to the right input channel. Now it works. Hi. Oh, that is very loud. Thank you for pointing that out. How's that? Is that any better? Actually, I might turn that down a touch more. I didn't do music last time. Yeah, it's not... maybe I need to talk louder. Oh, I can turn that up a bit as well, actually. Maybe that would help. Yeah, okay, guys. Yeah, I didn't do music last time. So I haven't played with it before, really, on stream. So I'm making sure it's correct volume-wise compared to me. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rusty Quill Streams. For those who don't know, Rusty Quill is a podcast and other media production company based out of London, England. We produce three weekly podcasts, Rusty Quill Gaming, the Magnus Archives, and Stellar Firma. You can find out more about all of those podcasts at rustyquill.com. And you can find us on most social media sites and on most good podcast catching services, podcast listening services, podcast hosting environments, curated podcast zones. Are you here? Thank you for the 100 bits. Hi, I'm Bryn. I am one of the performers from the Rusty Quill Gaming podcast. You may be familiar with me already. I assume most people here are Rusty Quill Gaming fans to some degree. It makes sense. I'm here doing, a Rusty Quill game related thing. So Rusty Quill Streams hosts a lot of content. A lot of it is just computer game in general. Some of it is vaguely related in tone or theme to some of our other properties. But this is my second stream here on the Rusty Quill channel. And I'm following up from my first one. Both of them are going to be based in the game Pathfinder Kingmaker, which is an isometric RPG computer game using Pathfinder as its base rule set. And therefore, we're sticking very closely to the content of Rusty Quill Gaming as well. So last time on Rusty Quill Streams with Bryn. Last time on Rusty Quill Streams with Bryn, we explored character creation. I wondered that, June. Last time someone else updated that, and I do have the ability to update that. But not everything I should. Thank you for pointing that out. Sorry guys, this is terribly boring. The bit where I just update the stream information. Yes, previously, in my last stream, we looked at character creation through the lens of Pathfinder Kingmaker, and I explored how a computer game might influence things differently to a pen and paper tabletop game. And I had a look at the various builds that a lot of different characters from Rusty Quill Gaming might look like in the game. And I wanted to come back to visit Pathfinder Kingmaker, because what we didn't do last time is really any gameplay. We did do the opening scene of the story, and we might have to have a quick recap of that in a second. We didn't actually look at the gameplay or how the game plays. And at one point I was thinking about... essentially playing through the game unspoiled, so not touching it since the previous stream, and getting to know it with all of you. But then I figured, actually, I think it's a better experience if I know the game a bit and I can help curate the experience slightly. So that is what I'm going to attempt to do. I have, since that character creation stream, I have played the game, played through the first chapter twice and the second chapter once, with a couple of different characters, so that I would get to know the game a bit and I could demonstrate it all to you. And the reason I chose to stream this particular stream today is that they just released a huge patch for the game, and also they've released the game for the first time on console. So the game has always been available on PC, but I believe as of today it is also available on some combination of Xbox and PlayStation. I don't know the full details. I do not own either of those gaming consoles. I own a PC. I've had it for a while, this game for a while, but I believe that you can now play this game on both PC and on either of those platforms. The thing that made me really excited to come back to the game with this new patch release is that the other thing they've introduced is turn-based combat mode. And I have to say that one of my biggest problems with the game, on a purely personal level up to now, has been the implementation of combat. And as I suspected, and in fact even more so than I expected, I would say, the game, a large amount of the game time is spent in combat. So let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to try something really fancy now. Mike's been coaching me on how to really be a pro streamer, and so I'm gonna show off one of my new tricks. Hi guys, it's a whole new camera angle. It's exactly the same, except now you're seeing me slightly from the side. big profesh streamer, that me. Zoom and enhance, absolutely. But what you can see from this angle is my own little version of the comfort crew in the background. We have three things in the comfort crew currently. My favourite TV show as a pre-teen, all the way up until about the age 15, maybe even 16, was Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And my favourite character at first on that show, and for a while, was Odo. And I have a signed photo of Odo, signed by René Aubergenois, the actor of Odo. The other things in the comfort crew, I might have to bring them closer to the camera, I suppose. Don't have any fancy camera tricks for this bit. This is a D&D miniature. It is a blue dragon. I don't know, I can't remember exactly. You can't hear me if I'm this far away from the mic, can you? No, I don't know why I'm still talking. You definitely can't hear me when I slide away from the mic. I don't know why I keep talking. I can't remember the size category. So in D&D, things have size categories. It's something like medium, large, huge, enormous, gargantuan. There's a whole scale of size categories, and I don't remember what size category that dragon is, but it's a big blue dragon, and it was a gift from Anil, and it represented the character I played at the time in a D&D campaign, and one of my all-time favourite characters. He was a half-elf lightning genasi named Deranai. And he was lovely and brilliant and lots of fun to play. And Anil gave, I think, all the players in that campaign a dragon that represented their characters, and I got that awesome blue dragon. The third member of my little comfort crew it's a tiny rubber duck giraffe pan. And I'm going to tell you all why this is important to me. And just big content warning for me being really sappy about my girlfriend. So, you know, if me being in love and adorable is going to freak you out, feel free to step away for a second. This little duck was literally won for me from an arcade game by my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend on one of the few occasions I got to visit her. For those who don't really know, we are long distance and it's tough, especially in times of COVID. We don't get to see each other as often as we like, but when I went over to visit her, we went to an arcade and she won me this little duck from an arcade machine. And she has an affinity for giraffes. She feels like that, you know, a giraffe is sort of like her demon creature, and so this little giraffe duck is representative both of spending time with Autumn and you know, it's a little Autumn analog that I get to have with me, and it makes me happy, and it also represents the fact that she is freaking awesome at computer games and arcade game type things. And I need to register that as well. She's like my gaming mentor, my gaming guru. She's wonderful, and I love her very much. And so those are the three members of the comfort crew. Signed photo of Odo, blue dragon representing an old D&D character, and my girlfriend in tiny plastic duck form. I kind of feel like Crochet Hamid should be in my comfort crew, not Anil's. Anyone else feel like that's not entirely fair? Well, anyway. All right, so okay, guys. So we to go back to the actual important stuff, the game we're going to play today. I've been going 13 minutes. Have I talked about the game? I have talked about the game. I just haven't gotten very close to playing it yet. So, I struggle with computer games, having just talked about how amazing my girlfriend is at computer games. There are a lot of computer games I struggle with. I am not very good at doing things rapidly. I really struggle when a computer game gives me a task that has to be completed within a certain amount of time. I struggle a bit. If there are lots of inputs coming at once, I really can't process them all. And all my favourite computer games, basically, are turn-based. And the thing is when I have a turn, I can play through it relatively quickly, but I need that sort of moment of staticness to process, and then I can execute actions that I have planned. And the biggest change in the huge Pathfinder Kingmaker patch that they released just today was the introduction of an official turn-based mode. There were some very highly regarded mods for turn-based mode before now, and I in fact used one of them when I've been playing the game. And I believe that a lot of the code in that mod was used to implement turn-based mode in the game. But obviously Pathfinder is, you know, the rule set inherently, when you have combat, you have an initiative order, and action takes place in turns. And therefore it feels very natural for a Pathfinder computer game to have a turn-based combat mode. And so the ability to play it turn-based already, using the mods available, really helped me, find my way in the game and enjoy it. And the introduction, 20 gig update, as someone's just said in chat. It was a big update. It's supposed to be the final one. They apparently fixed a bunch of issues in the game, although not all of them I've heard, but I certainly haven't encountered any. And as I said, they released it on additional platforms and they introduced turn-based mode. And so Yeah, Adri. So it's very common in this Pathfinder Kingmaker is sort of the intellectually at least the heir to a lot of computer games from across the last 20 years. Um, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and this kind of thing, and they very commonly don't have turn-based modes because they are, they're interpretations of the actual RPG rules rather than a true faithful implementation of them. But I've always found the games more fun when I can enjoy them in a turn-based way, and so that's one of the things. That's why I applied for a stream slot with Rusty Quill for today specifically because I wanted to use this update. And so I haven't seen the update yet. I literally haven't played this game with the update yet, but I am aware that it has turn-based mode, and I've used a mod for turn-based mode so far, and I'm excited to try out the official turn-based mode for this game. Let's get down to it. Let's get started. Oh, actually, that reminds me of one thing I wanted to ask. The channel points things are on. Are there any mods around? I don't know what redemptions for channel points they've allowed for today's stream, because I know both Anil and Mike allow karaoke suggestion redemptions. I don't know if that is currently available. I saw someone talk about changing emotes with channel points just now. So what I offered, guys, was okay. Thank you, Zalia. I said to the team that they should leave karaoke redemptions available, but the key issue for me personally was that I'm happy to do karaoke, and I'm happy to do. Oh my god, does that mean you can mess with the emotes and give emote hammered and moustache? Is that what's going to happen? I'm surprised that hasn't happened already, if I'm honest. Slackers. I would happy to have karaoke redemption for channel points on, but I'm happy to do karaoke. I love karaoke, and I'm terrible at it. But I don't care. I go for it anyway, even though I'm terrible. I will karaoke songs that I know I'm good at, or that I'm bad at, or that I think I can sing, or that I think I can't sing, but I have to know the songs. And so I was going to do a big warning about checking with me first before you suggested a song, because if I don't know it, I'm not going to karaoke it. Even if I might like it, even if it is something I could potentially sing, if I don't know the song, it's not going to happen. But it looks like we don't have that enabled, so it's probably best that we leave that off for today. We probably don't have enough time anyway if we actually want to get through a chunk of the game. Right, so the game. Here we go. Right, is there any game sound coming through? It doesn't look like there is. Let me see if I can address that quickly. No game sound. That is a shame. Okay, give me a second, guys. I'm just going to try closing the game and then reopening it and seeing if I can get game sounds through that way. So just give me a second to do that. So that's totally fair. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Jinxie? Pathfinder, the Pathfinder game is not super well known, not super successful as a video game, but it's something I enjoy. And so one of the points of me doing these streams was to share it with other people who might like Pathfinder, like I do. I still don't think the game is giving any sound. That is a shame. Maybe it's just too quiet. What if we just pump that back up? Okay, I think we've got some game sound now. Hopefully at a reasonable level as well. I think it may have just been, but I turned it down. It's the same input as the music I was playing just now, and I think that I was possibly I turned it down for the music, and I think I had to turn it back up for the game to get it to the right level, so it was audible to y'all. Okay, so last time we created all the Rusty Quill gaming characters. We looked at how close we could get to them in the game and how we might modify them for the game. And we ended up by making Hamid. And I have since come back to the game and rebuilt Hamid slightly because, oh my god, the game is so much combat and not that much of other stuff, to be honest. So I rebuilt Hamid a little to fit in with the game better and to, unfortunately, build more towards a combat build. And it's just that's just a big part of the game, and I felt that would be helpful. So you'll see here I've played through the game with two other characters just to get a feel for different bits of the game and how they work. But we're loading up our Hamid save, and the build I ended up with was almost the same as the build I showed on stream, but I can show the character sheet at some point, and we can have a look at that too. Okay, so I'm just going to pause the game just for safety. The only bit of plot, of game plot we had last time, because we did play the very beginning, is we essentially got an introduction to the plot of the game, which is that we are being hired by a local, powerful, noble family to go into an area called the Stolen Lands, which currently has no formal government, and we are being asked to cleanse it of bandits and to establish our own government there. So it's basically, it is, unfortunately, the basic plot of the game is very much the central problem of D&D style games in a big way, in that it is asking you to be a colonizer and it is asking you to be a murder hobo. And it's, that's not great. I think if we can still play these kind of games, and hopefully when we're creating our own storylines in these games, we go for different storylines. And we don't quite set up the same dichotomy of the world that the sort of the classic D&D plotline involves. But we have to be honest about the traps.
Murder hobo.
Thank you, IE, for the 100 bits. The traps that these games lay for us. And we talked a lot during character creation about the way that D&D and Pathfinder interpret the subject of race and how, incorrect and problematic, the discussion of these games in regards to race is. There's a lot of history there which is poorly understood and poorly written, and the games are starting to address it and starting to improve. And I think we can still play these games, but we have to acknowledge the ways in which they are less, they are not great about these topics, and we can recognize that. And I have to say, having played through at least portions of the game now with these other characters, the game goes for a very classic interpretation of race in terms of the Pathfinder sense, and it's tough sometimes. The game has forced me to make choices which I haven't liked very much because of the way it presents certain people within the game, and that's not very pleasant. And none of it has been. I sort of interpret that as, well, that is the way the game is written, and it's not good, but we can acknowledge the flaws and still play it as it's presented to us. And I've had enough fun playing other bits of the game that it's not put me off completely, but I'm not going to fault anyone who says, "Yep, not for me," because of the way it does treat and interpret these things. So I'm just trying to give a fair caveat to that, and please feel free to be critical of that aspect and to recognise that. And if you feel like we're encountering anything during this gameplay, and it's something that means you're not going to enjoy the game, please jump out again, and we'll try and address it if it does come up today. I'm not sure if it will or not, but we will have to see. And we'll do our best. We'll do our best. Okay, so I love this. I love the graphics in this game. We can zoom right in on our character. Here is little Hamid himself, and at the very beginning, at the tiny bit of gameplay we saw already last time, we did meet some of these other characters. So there was this big meeting with all these adventurers in the main hall, and Jamandi Aldori here is one of the main quest givers, telling us to go out and conquer this area of unclaimed land and start our own sort of kingdom in the area. Several people spoke up during this meeting, and we might remember Tartuccio gave us pretty nasty vibes. And Tartuccio is is probably a character we meet again. Amiri is a very sort of gung-ho, go-getting woman with a massive sword. Jethal was one of the people who kind of agreed with us that perhaps the people living in this unclaimed land should have some level of self-determination about their fate. And who else spoke up? And we met a lovely halfling lady by the name of Lindsey, who is a bard and is looking to write a novel, and essentially wants us to be her muse and wants to write a novel about our adventures. And so, yeah, we like her a lot, and I would like Lindsey to be Hamid's girlfriend, and I don't know if the game will offer me that option, but we will see. But yes, chat instantly wifed nearly every female character that spoke. We'll see if we continue to feel the same way as we play through. Okay, the game interface. We've got loads of buttons down here in the left. We've got our character portrait here, and it shows us we have 8 hit points out of 8 currently. And as our party increases, and you can have 6 party members during this game, the other characters' portraits will appear in these slots. We have the basic spells and abilities we can use. So currently, Hamid is wielding a crossbow, and he also has a dagger if he really needs it. And I have easy access to his 2 first-level spells. I would have liked to take Mage Armor, but Hamid actually gets Mage Armor for free at a later level, and so it would have been a poor choice of spell. So I've taken Shield as a defense and Magic Missile as an offense. So my 2 spells are both combat-based, 1 defensive, 1 offensive. And then I've got my 2 cantrips here, Acid Splash and Ray of Frost. And so we can see that if we open the spell menu, we can see the same 2 first-level spells, but a larger selection of cantrips, of 0-level spells, if we wanted to add them to this quick bar. We've also got abilities, so these are various basic abilities that you can use in the game. So the charge ability is very useful. There's acrobatics, which people who are familiar with RQG will know from Sasha dodging around a lot in combat. And there's Hamid's ability to grow claws, and we can't interpret that in the same way I did during the early levels of RQG, where Hamid wasn't aware of his claws. We're going to have to make conscious choices in this game about when to use draconic and sorcerous powers. So we very much have to see this as an AU version of Hamid. We're going to try and see him as the same character, but obviously he doesn't live in the same world, so he can't have exactly the same background. And he can't have exactly the same understanding of the world. But we'll try and stay true to the character where we want. And one of the things I would mention is that this game, I would say, does not always support roleplay choices. It supports roleplay choices in dialogue to a decent degree, but for example, the game really wants you to loot every location you pass through, even when it feels very out of character. And I'm going to try not to do that. I am going to try and see and play through this run with a with a more of a role-playing stance, and if I don't feel like Hamid would steal random stuff from the places he's in, I will not be picking it up. And I think that might end up being a handicap during the game, to be honest. I think that might make the game harder, because the game really expects you to pick up all the money and the equipment that you find during a run. But the game does have some really good options, and I do want to talk about these quickly. So we've got game settings here. So all these pause buttons don't matter too much, because we have turned on turn-based combat mode. Difficulty, that's what I was actually looking for. Right, so we can affect the difficulty level of the game to a very large degree. So we can choose how critical hits affect our party. We can turn on this Death's Door ability, which means basically if your character loses hit points to the point where they would die, you get a chance to get back to a safe place and rest and not die. But it can be, it doesn't eliminate death, but it makes death much less likely. You can actually turn off death completely. And you can make things, you can change how things, a lot of aspects of the game interact. So, for example, here I've set somewhat easier enemies. I've turned down enemies' damage so that we will only receive 80% of any damage that enemies actually inflict on us. Enemy difficulty is set to normal. We can change the party's speed. Kingdom management. Oh, I actually meant to set that to effortless. So there's a whole section of the game where you can still go around adventuring and fighting and having, encountering difficult situations as you go. But you also, while you're doing that, you have to manage a kingdom. And that's a whole kind of second aspect to the game, which I found fun, but I have found to be a slight mental drain in terms of increasing the difficulty of the game. So, and there's lots of things you can show additional information, and you can make sure that the dialogue options actually tell you what skills a dialogue is going to use, or what alignment, if you choose a certain dialogue path, how the game is going to interpret that in terms of alignment. And so there's a huge amount of customization here, but I would really encourage you, if you're going to play this game, a lot of the dialogue I found online over the game is about dealing with the game on the hardest mode. There's obviously in gaming culture, that's a common thing, is to make a game as hard as possible and still beat it, and that is not how I enjoy games. If you do, sure. If you don't, if you're like me and you want to spend your time exploring the story, but I'm still personally a fan of I like Pathfinder, and I want to replicate the experience of Pathfinder, so I want to use the Pathfinder rule set, and I want to stick reasonably closely to it, so I haven't turned everything completely down and completely off and made it a very different experience. But I've turned it down a little because I'm more interested in having it in a way where I can keep playing without encountering too many incredibly difficult situations that I have to sort of and I will likely save a lot, and if I die in a fight, if a fight goes completely wrong, I might load and redo the fight. I don't want to have to be doing that over and over until I happen to find the right tactic. So I'd rather set the difficulty down a little bit so that I'm still playing Pathfinder, but with a it's almost like saying you can't have a sort of tacit agreement with the GM where if you and the GM are on the same page in a real Pathfinder game, you can have ground rules about how easy character death should be, and you can't have that same negotiation quite with a computer game implementation. But these difficulty settings do allow you to do a bit of that. So that's where I've set it. I've basically I would say consistently sort of set it to about 80% difficulty. So not too different from Pathfinder, but enough that my enjoyment of the game will hopefully be maximised. And yeah, if you happen to want to pick up this game and play it yourself, I would encourage that. I've certainly had fun. And yeah, I encourage you to use the difficulty options to explore your own comfort and to make the game ideal for you. So, we have this classic interface here. As I said, we've got like all these little option buttons down the left. We've got the game log on the bottom right, which shows us everything that happens, and we'll show you all the dice rolls. We've got our character abilities, spells, non-combat abilities, and equipment. And we can see I've actually started with a bunch of scrolls, which means that even if I run out of spells, there's still things I can do. Queenie, I have it on Steam, but I believe the game is also available on both PlayStation and Xbox as of today. Sorry, I was saying, yeah, the classic interface. So the rest of the screen represents the game world, and you can see it's quite lovingly rendered. I think the art of the game world is pretty cool, and I enjoy it a lot. I think it looks very pretty at times. And you have this ability where if you use the WASD keys, you will move the camera around, but to actually move your person, you just click on the screen, and it'll even show you a little target where your character will then run to. I have a nervous habit of sort of doing this a lot, and I know that some people find that very difficult. I'm going to try really hard not to do that too often, because I know some people can experience motion sickness because of that sort of movement. Apologies if even that tiny bit I just did just there was a problem for you. I'm going to try really hard not to do that, and if anyone sees me doing that and wants to draw my attention to it to make me stop, please do so, because it's a sort of slightly, semi-conscious, slightly kind of just nervous habit, and I don't want to make this a difficult viewing experience for anyone. So the first time I played this scene, I tried to walk around and talk to everyone, and I couldn't work out if I just was using the interface wrong, but it turns out, no, you can't really interact with anyone in this very first scene. The characters are just there as window dressing, and to progress the plot, you have to go and sleep. And, you know, the boss characters have told you that you should sleep and get started on your journey in the morning into this area we've called the Stolen Lands. And this is one of the characters we've met. Northern architecture is beautiful, but very heavy. In my native land of Kadira, palaces are furnished quite differently. But if we exit the area, we will jump to the next scene, and we will see how the story really starts. Yes, I was wondering, Gile 666? I might be saying that wrong. I haven't really interacted with that character again, and I wondered if that was the case. Okay, so this is Lindsey, the halfling bard we met yesterday, and is our friend and hopefully one day girlfriend. She's burst into our room. She looks scared. Her face is smeared with soot, and she holds a weapon in her hands. Help! Help! What's going on?
The mansion's under attack. We need to help. Some villains broke in and started killing everyone. I barely made it. Hurry, we have to help the guards fight off the attackers, or we'll all be cut down one by one.
So I'm hoping that the game sounds are coming through clearly enough that you guys can hear the voice acting. So Lindsey's lines are being read by a voice actor in the game. As if to lend credence to Lindsey's words, a scream echoes from the hallway. So Lindsey rushes off, and we try to rush off too, except random man comes in and says, "You're not going anywhere." And I've got the tutorial enabled, and it's actually about to tell me that combat happens in real time, which is not true because I've changed the setting. I hope I've changed the setting anyway. And we don't need to read that, therefore. Turn-based mode. In turn-based combat, characters act in turns. The order of turns is determined by the initiative check and depends on the character's corresponding ability score. Character can take some actions during their turn, and the turn of the next character in the queue starts. And you can one of the options available to you during a turn is delay, and that can shuffle your position in the initiative order. Okay, and good, we have turn-based combat available. So I haven't actually seen this interface before, because this is one of the new parts of today's. So I've got a move action, a standard action, a free action, and a swift action, and I can take a 5-foot step, which is another thing within Pathfinder. And I am acting here before this assassin who is my enemy. So I've got a crossbow, but I'm a bit scared. I don't have enough room to run away, and my AC is not very high. And actually, I can pause. Can I pause the game? Oh, no, that did not pause the game. Oops. Okay, so in every other situation, hitting spacebar pauses the game. And I accidentally used the interface wrong because we're in turn-based combat mode right now, and therefore you don't need to pause the game, in theory, and hitting spacebar will instead skip your turn. Oops. Right, so I can, I believe, though, hit C, which opens my character sheet. So we can see my armor class is only 13, which I'm not very happy about. That's not very good. And we've got a lot of things over here. We can see our basic skills, our alignment. Our weapon is a crossbow, and we have an attack +3. But a crossbow is not very good against a random enemy. And the thing is that spells are a precious resource. And we have a bit of a problem here, because we'd love to use our spells to take down this enemy, but I happen to know that I'm going to face a lot of other enemies on this same day, and it's going to be a bit of a problem if I use up all my spells fighting the very first encounter. So, since this enemy has already moved right towards us and is now attacking us hand to hand, I think it's time. I'm going to pull Hamid's Claw ability out into the main ability ball. I'm going to activate the claws. So my claws are now active. And I believe I have to change weapon set as well. I'm actually not sure how the claws work in this new interface. Okay, I attacked the assassin with claw. That's good. And then the assassin attacked me, but they missed. Let's see if my claws can take down this assassin. Yeah, so the nice thing about claws is I actually get 2 attacks rather than just 1. Catastrophizer. I have played through this game twice, but the new patch means that the interface is a bit unfamiliar to me. And I haven't played through the whole game twice. I've played through the first chapter twice and the second chapter once. So I have not played a huge amount of this game. I don't know how many chapters there are even. Okay, we've taken down the first enemy. And the game is... I've left on the tutorial tips here, but the game is saying we should loot the body. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, we've found a chain shirt. We can't wear armor, remember, we're a sorcerer. And we found a dagger. Neither of these are worth very much money, so I'm not sure that looting the body, and the armor especially, is very heavy, and Hammond is not strong, so I don't think that taking either of these things is particularly useful to us, so we will not be actually looting the body. But we have a doorway, and we can leave this room through the door. And we can see that there's... the assassins are already here. Follow me quickly, says Lindsey. That we could, but there's line of sight mechanics in this game, so we can't see. We can only see a certain distance, and we can't see around corners. And Lindsey says they've got someone. We have to help. Hey! Okay, so we have entered combat again. Okay, this time the enemies are not right at our throat already. They haven't actually approached us. So we're going to try using our crossbow instead of using our claws. And Lindsey also has a crossbow. And we are both shooting. And in general, we want to try and shoot at the same enemy. But the enemies are closing on us. That's not great. Luckily, the enemy that ran at Lindsey missed that attack. That one did not, though. Okay, and Lindsey has done something there which is not great, which is she just shot straight away without considering the fact that she would trigger attacks of opportunity. And now that there are 2 assassins on Lindsey, I think I'm going to have to drop the crossbow and actually use magic missile, because if we leave these 2 assassins right next to her, they might kill her before we are able to do anything. So hopefully taking one of them out will help Lindsey survive. Yeah, so we are two squishy ranged characters right now trying to take on melee characters, and that is bad. You really need at least one melee character in a party before your party will work, and right now we don't have one. So these early encounters may be a bit of a struggle. Do we want to move? We probably don't, to be honest. So turns out hitting spacebar skips that. Okay, the assassin missed again. Good. And we enter combat round 3. And again, Lindsey just shoots without considering the attack of opportunities. Now, the question is, do we want to try shooting as well, or are we going to use another spell? We're going to just try shooting again.
You're just in time. A bit longer and I'd have been... Whew, I don't even want to think about it. Can you imagine what a terrible loss this would have been? But it's all right now. I'm safe, sound, and unscathed, ready to lead you to victory.
So Tartuccio gave us some seriously terrible vibes previously. He seems like an awful person.
Lady Jamandi's holding the
Also seems to have been attacked by the assassins, and it looks like we're about to team up.
We need to make our way to her. And along the way, we'll try to save some of these dummies who are supposed to accompany us to the stolen land. Speaking of dummies, take this ring. Quiet now, so that little fool doesn't hear us. She might try to steal it herself. It's magical.
So he just referred to Lindsey as a little fool, which makes me hate him.
Work to defend me.
And Tartuccio has handed us a magical ring. And he wants us to defend him. But the cool thing is that both Lindsey and Tartuccio have joined our party. So there's now 3 tiny squishy characters. We've got 2 halflings and a gnome. And we can bring up now our inventory screen. So we already saw that Hamiz had some scrolls available to him. He has a crossbow and a dagger. And now we have this magical ring. Tartuccio's present. This ring grants its wearer a +1 bonus to armor class. Its deflection bonus does not stack with other deflection bonuses. Well, it seems like equipping that is a good idea. I'm never going to say no to items which enhance my AC, and much like in RQG, taking a ring from a morally dubious NPC, I see no problems with. I'm sure there will be no consequences to that decision that will haunt me later on. Also in our inventory, we have 2 ever-burning torches, which is quite nice. If we go anywhere super dark, we might need those. But this means we can also see what the other characters we have. So remember, Lindsey is a bard. Lindsey also has some scrolls, also has a crossbow, also has a special ring. This ring is only available to Lindsey, and it's because Lindsey is the most important NPC in the game. Prevents her from dying, teleports her to a safe location should she fall in battle. So basically they're saying Lindsey is such a plot-critical NPC that we're not going to allow the game to kill her. And she's just got some leather armor. And they have Tartuccio. Tartuccio has 2 potions, and also has a crossbow. And we have access now to their character sheets too. So we can see that Tartuccio is a gnome sorcerer. So he makes an excellent nemesis, or friend, to Hamid, our lovely halfling sorcerer. How interesting. He's got apparently a higher charisma than us. Apparently you should be liking charisma. Tartuccio, you should be liking Tartuccio more than you like Hamid. Lindsey has a charisma of 16, which is incredibly high compared to normal characters. But in this party, she's very awkward, apparently. But has a bunch of good skills, lots of good skills, and all these characters have spells, and we can see what spells they have. And because we've got 2 sorcerers and a bard, they all have spontaneous spell casting, which means we don't have to worry about preparing spells. But we can see that Hamid has access to magic missile and shield, Lindsey has access to ear-piercing scream, and oh my god, thank the gods, cure light wounds. That's definitely true, Niblet, yes. Charisma does not mean likeable, it means you can get people to do your bidding. I like to think of it as likability, but that's not really an accurate description. But I want charisma to be hotness. Is that so wrong? That was a response to Brinanza, who said charisma is force of personality, not hotness. Tartuccio has access to burning hands and magic missile. And is a red dragon, draconic bloodline, whereas Hamid, as we know, is a brass dragon. And traditionally, those 2 Dragons are enemy types as well, hilariously. So, off we go. I don't know what you mean. Oscar Wilde is everyone's favourite NPC. Right, let's explore some of these other rooms. It's not necessarily the way on, but we should see what's happening. Okay, here we have a dead body. So this is clearly one of the other adventurers, and the assassins have killed them. And you can see the game. So I'm occasionally just hitting tab to see what is interactable with. So all these doors can be opened and closed, but also this chest is interactable. And I'm being encouraged by the game to click on it. And in most runs of this game, I would at this point just hit the collect all button and loot everything from this chest. I don't think that's okay. I think in character that Hamid would not steal random stuff from a random chest he found in this room. Like this, we don't know if it belongs to this person. We don't know if it belongs to, as clearly some of the things in this room do, the owners of this castle. We're not going to steal from random people. We will, however, steal from people we've defeated in battle. So these two corpses over here seem to be fair game to loot from, if they have anything worth taking. They do not. They have basic daggers. Oh well. Yeah, so I'm trying to give general information, but we certainly would not want to spoil anything in any way recent from RQG, but we will inevitably talk about things that happen, especially in the early bits of RQG. What about this room? There are several companions in your party now. To select a single character, click their portrait or press a corresponding key. Select multiple characters, you can draw a frame around them. Yeah, so I can move the whole party, or I can move none of the party. This feels like the way on, and actually we left there's another dead body over here and another open door, and I feel like we should check this out too. Is this an assassin or is a fellow adventurer? Should we loot their body or not? I don't know if we can tell. Maybe this body is okay to loot. This looks like another bedroom to me, and you can see here's a bookcase that the game is saying, oh, you can loot this bookcase if you want. So apparently this bookcase has a map, some gold coins just on the bookcase, and a random book. There's a lot of books in this game. We can even read these books if we want to. I probably won't be doing that while on stream, but it's there if you want to. If you play this game yourself, yeah, read the books. There's potentially some cool lore in all of them. Okay, so going back to this corridor, which seems like the way on. And here, there's a chest of drawers that we can loot. And again, we don't know who this belongs to. It probably belongs to the people who own the castle. Seems weird to just randomly steal that stuff from them. Don't think that's morally acceptable, personally. But, to be honest, this is one of the reasons I've turned the game difficulty down. If you're playing this game, it might be worth stealing all this random stuff. Because the game sort of expects you to, and is balanced for you to do that. Oh, and here we've got an auto pause because we have spotted an enemy. So we've succeeded at a perception check, and we've seen that through this doorway, in the shadows of this next room, which looks like a library, there's another dead body, and there's another assassin. In fact, we can see 3 of them. And quite upsettingly, none of us have very many good ranged spells to use. So what we might have to do here is send Tartuccio forward. Not because we consider Tartuccio expendable. Definitely not, obviously. That would be awful. But because Tartuccio has the best spell. Yes, thank you. We are also a spellcaster. But you can see these tutorial tips are quite useful, potentially, in terms of explaining the game and helping us play it in a tactically sensible way. And it mentions attack of opportunities here, but we already know the Pathfinder rules, so we know. And a lot of the tips here are to do with the original version of the game, which is not the turn-based combat, so not all of them will apply. Okay, so we're going to have Tartuccio first, and we're going to move Tartuccio forward towards these enemies. And then we are going to have Tartuccio cast Burning Hands. And the thing about Burning Hands is you have to be close to your enemies, and if you're close to your friends, it will hit your friends too, and therefore it's not a great spell in that sense. But here, because Tartuccio got to go earlier in the initiative order, he got to run up to the enemies and Burning Hands all 3 of them simultaneously. Didn't do a huge amount of damage, but doing area of effect damage like that, pretty effective. Lindsey. What does Lindsey want to do? So because there's 3 enemies here, I think Lindsey may use her standard action to begin singing. So a bard can use the performance ability to inspire courage in their allies, bolstering them against fear and improving their combat abilities. An affected ally receives a +1 morale bonus on saving throws against charm and fear effects, and a +1 competence bonus on attack and weapon damage rolls. So we can see that Lindsey has begun singing, and it makes a nice little chord, and you can see the area of effect that the singing has. And we can now take a move action, so Lindsey is going to move behind this bookcase and away from the attackers to start shooting with the crossbow on her next turn. And now it's Hamid's turn, and Hamid is boosted by Lindsey singing, but is going to use his crossbow to fire at one of these 2 bowman enemies. Ooh, and that's a good hit. 6 damage, which took that enemy out. Excellent shooting, Hamid. Ooh, and Tartuccio's not doing so hot. He started with 10 hit points, and he's already taken 5 damage. So, we are going to try and move Tartuccio out of trouble. So, I've turned on this 5-foot step thing, which means I can just move backwards 5 feet. And then I'm going to use my crossbow, too. No, I do not want to use Ray of Frost. Maybe I do want to use Ray of Frost. Is Ray of Frost better than this crossbow? What are the properties of a crossbow? 1 to 8 damage. One d3 damage. Yeah, the crossbow is better than the Ray of Frost. How do I not select the Ray of Frost? Come on. Unselect Ray of Frost, please, game. Game, please. Okay, it doesn't seem to want to let me use the crossbow, so I guess I'm just going to have to cast Ray of Frost, even though it's much less effective than the crossbow. Never mind. Okay, and that is the end of Tartuccio's turn. So Lindsey is going to use her crossbow to fire at this assassin. Oh, and killed him. Excellent work, Lindsey. Lindsey is then going to move away from the other assassin around the table here and try and stay safe. And it's Hamid's turn now. This is a bowman, so the good news is that this enemy is not going to close to melee range with either of our characters. So Hamid is going to use his crossbow. And also has a good shot. And you can see there, crossbows at first level are plenty effective. And here we have a tutorial tip about hit points. And how healing works. And also about how to use the item interface. I agree, tardigrade jams. Lindsey has plot armor, and yet we must protect. Fully on board with that. But again, because we understand Pathfinder already and we know the rules, we are not going to spend too long reading all these items. And of course, because we just killed these people, we do think it's morally acceptable to loot their bodies. Oh, and they have a load of healing potions. Excellent. So we're going to have to feed Tartuccio a healing potion, probably. But none of their other stuff is worth stealing, because none of it is very expensive. Okay, so let's stop using Ray of Frost. Please turn it off. Why? Maybe that's just the character AI that we have no control over. I don't like that, though. Okay, so we can open the belt menu, and you can see we've got Potion of Cure Light Wounds, which cures 1d8 damage. But since Torticho is currently on 5 of 10 hit points, it's worth drinking a healing potion. And that brings Torticho back up to full health. Okay, so we've got our tiny little party of 3 squishy characters. We have established the central plot of the game so far, which is we're being sent out to colonize a small area of unclaimed land. And before we were able to leave and do that, the place we were staying has been attacked by assassins, and a bunch of the people who were being sent on that mission have been killed. And we're now trying to fight our way back to the rich and powerful noble family that gave us this mission in the first place. So we've done a couple of very quick combats. We've got a party of 3 squishy people. I'm going to do what I do a lot and save the game. Just in case. Never hurts to have a save. There's probably a button for a quick save. I've never worked out what it is. I just hit escape and save game. And it's now time for a quick stream break, guys. So everyone take a comfort break. Get yourself a drink. Use the facilities should you need to. And I'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes with some additional Pathfinder Kingmaker gameplay. Hi again, everybody. It's me. I hope you all had a nice break and are refreshed with more liquid to fortify yourselves for whatever comes next. Just a quick reminder, my name is Bryn. This is the Rusty Quill stream. Rusty Quill is a podcasting company based out of London, England, and produces 3 weekly podcasts. The Magnus Archives, Rusty Quill Gaming, and Stellar Firma. You can find more about our podcasts and our company at rustyquill.com. And you can find the podcasts themselves through most major good podcasting services. And you can find Rusty Quill as a company on most major social media sites. Today we are playing Pathfinder Kingmaker, an isometric RPG using the Pathfinder rule set, which is the same rule set we use for the Rusty Quill Gaming actual play Pathfinder podcast. And I'm playing the game as the same character I play in that podcast, Hamid. And we're not very far in the game yet, but we're just exploring the opening scenes, basically. So let's get back to it. So once again, quick check. My volume, game volume. Yes, both look like they are working. Let us continue. So, we're exploring this mansion as 3 incredibly squishy characters, where assassins have come in and attacked a lot of the adventurers. We're hoping to find some of the other adventurers alive. Oh, but this room is just dead bodies. It looks like here is a dead half-orc. Pathetic, they couldn't even defend themselves, but they thought they would conquer the stolen lands, says Tartuccio. I mean, way to be an asshole, Tartuccio. I mean, I'm just lucky they didn't catch me sleeping, or I would also be dead. I think this is an assassin, so I'm going to take... we are living in a world where it is morally correct to loot the body of people you've just killed, because once you've committed murder, who minds about a little theft? But even whilst doing so, it is still wrong to say, take this stuff from the bookcase, because the stuff in the bookcase belongs to people who haven't just attacked and tried to kill you. That's my moral calculus here. If anyone feels like I'm going very wrong, please let me know. But that's where I'm choosing to take a stance on morality at this point in this particular game. I can't believe it. That could have been us, says Lindsey. Well, their adventures have certainly come to an end, says Tartuccio. Again, no assassin bodies in here to loot, so we're not going to loot the random property of the mansion. A storeroom. More dead bodies. The dead bodies are not lootable, but we could loot this barrel of fish. We can literally take fish out of this barrel. We can take trout. There's a whole cooking little mini, like tiny little mini sub-game thing. And so actually having cooking ingredients is quite useful. But again, the moral calculus that we are doing at this point in the game says it is wrong to steal stuff that is the property of the owners of this mansion. But in other run-throughs, I have indeed taken absolutely everything that wasn't nailed down in this section of the game. And I have to say, in the grand scheme of things, it's probably better to do that. That is how the game is designed. Not a mini-game. That's probably the wrong word. There's a... Yeah, it's not a mini-game.
Can you make an epic pose? I need inspiration.
But... it's a thing that happens during the game. Okay, and we've met another surviving adventure. It's Amiri, the barbarian woman with the... barbarian the class, specifically, with the giant sword. So you can see as well, if we look at this movement line, so this is Lindsey's turn, we can see that there's a green dot which represents... So remember, in a Pathfinder initiative round, you can move and take a standard action, but you can use your standard action to move again, which is known as a double move. And so I can move this far, but if I want to only use my move action and still have my standard action, I can only move up to the green dot. So again, there's 3 enemies here, which I think means it is worth Lindsey singing to help us against them. So now it is Tartuccio. So Tartuccio, again, also doesn't want to move further than the green dot. Is he going to use his crossbow this time, or is he going to cast Ray of Frost again, like a dickhead?
Just die already.
That looks like a crossbow. Good shot, Tartuccio. Amiri just did 20 damage, because she is incredibly badass. You can see this red glow is her activating the Barbarian Rage ability, which gives her huge bonuses to attack and stuff. Catastrophizer, I really love Pathfinder. I talked in my previous Pathfinder Kingmaker stream about... I love D&D as well, and I've played a lot of D&D in my life, and I talked about the things I like. Oh, I didn't turn my fan back off when I came back from my break. Hopefully there was no sound bleed from that. About what I liked about each system, and the differences between them for me. But yeah, for me, Pathfinder is the one I really love. The barbarian's face is distorted with rage. She grinds her teeth and sweat drips from her forehead. Noticing Tartuccio, she swings her sword but stops just in time. And then the voice actor already read the rest of that line.
Blood for Gorum!
Takes a deep breath. Swinging her bloody sword, she runs towards the sound of battle.
Barbarians.
Tartuccio does not like
I think
barbarians.
that's exactly how heroes should be.
I agree with Lindsey. I think any badass, incredibly strong woman with a giant sword is a hero in my book.
Stupid, sweaty, and always looking for something to gobble up or lop the head off of? Calistria, save me from such heroes.
Well, you are welcome not to work with her then, Tartuccio. Oh, and some bodies that we just fought and killed. Let's see if they have anything worth stealing. More healing potions. Not gonna say no. Oh, there's a whole group of assassin, and then some guards, and you can see there's some dialogue going on between the assassins and the guards. I'm not going to be able to read all of this. And a magnificent frost giant who just obliterated 3 guards with a single spell. We definitely can't fight a frost giant, you guys. We are literally level 1 characters. There's a big door to the outside here. We apparently can't use it. The game has no interface for letting us use it. This is another body, so we could loot it. And it is an assassin, so we are labelled assassin, and so we are going to loot it. For a second, I didn't think it would be an assassin. I was going to say we therefore don't think we should loot it. But, you know, the game has helpfully said this guy was on the opposite team, and therefore looting the body is fine. And here are the dead guards. So the dead guards, we don't want to loot. They were on our side, and therefore their goods should be disposed of according to their will and testaments, and not taken by random adventurers. Morality, eh? Doesn't really work in this sort of situation. The passage is blocked. It looks like the frost giant collapsed this corridor on the way through, so we can't get through this way. And there was a staircase here. I don't think I clicked on it, actually, but we can run back there quickly and see what the game said about this staircase. The heavy gate is securely locked. So, other routes through this mansion that we can't use. Oh, another staircase. Heavy grate is securely locked. Skill check. Sometimes interacting with an object requires a skill check. A successful check may be needed for a variety of tasks. Unlocking a door, opening a chest, disabling a trap, moving a heavy object, blah 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 blah. Some skill checks can be attempted multiple times. Others can only be tried after a character raises their skill rank. Some items and spells can count as a bonus to skill checks. And we meet our first skill check here, and it's saying that there's a bunch of rubble in this hallway, and although it's not completely impassable like the other one was, it will require a dexterity check to climb over it. So we click on this, and the game automatically selects the party member with the highest modifier in whatever the check requires to attempt the skill check for us.
Anything else?
And in this case, that was Lindsey, apparently. So Lindsey attempted the charity check, and it succeeded. And she check result 19. The roll was 16, and Lindsey has a dexterity modifier of 3. The difficulty of the check was only 7. So we had a pretty high chance of succeeding. But since Lindsey rolled a 16, the party as a whole succeeded the skill check, and we all get to move past the barrier. So that's how the game implements that mechanic, which means that it's worth paying attention to which party members have which skills and making sure that your party members between them have a good balance of skills, and that, you know, whichever party member is going to be best at a single skill it continues to focus on that skill, because you're going to want to have at least one party member who is good at nearly every skill in the game.
And then our leader charged forward.
Yeah, 2 more assassins, it looks like. Tartuccio's going first, and when Tartuccio goes first, that's a perfect time to use... Firstly, to run forward and to make himself a target, because we care about him a lot less than we care about the other characters, but also to use Burning Hands. I still feel like that ability should definitely be doing more damage. Isn't it interesting how these assassins keep running past Tartuccio and not attacking him, and only attacking the other party members? Hammer just took a whole bunch of damage. Hammer took 5 damage there, and he only has 8 hit points. That's pretty bad. So, in fact, Lindsey is going to use her round to cast a healing spell on Hamid to try and make sure Hamid doesn't die. Okay, good. Hamid is healed back to full health, and Lindsey is going to move further away from the scary enemy. And that's going to be Lindsey's turn. The assassin bowman also hit Hamid with an attack. Hamid's not doing great, you guys. Hamid's going to take a 5-foot step. So the 5-foot step doesn't move Hamid very far, but it does mean he's no longer in attack range of this enemy, which means when he casts a spell, hopefully this enemy can't attack him. And we're in dire straits here, so it's definitely time to use one of our precious magic missiles and hopefully take this enemy out. That enemy's not dead. That could be a problem. Tartuccio also has magic missile, and since we are currently in charge of Tartuccio's combat actions, Tartuccio is also going to do his best to take out that enemy. Good work, Tartuccio. Okay, 1 down, still another one to go. Hopefully Hamid doesn't die. This would be very early in the game for Hamid to die. Lindsey's turn. Do we think Lindsey has a good shot of killing this enemy before this enemy is able to do anything to us? We're going to try, so we're going to move close and then just shoot him with our crossbow. Whew. Okay. Let's we've got a whole bunch of healing potions. So let's quickly give one of our healing potions to Hamid and have Hamid drink the healing potion. We are 3 very squishy characters, and Hamid is the squishiest, and, you know, therefore we want to keep our hit points high right now, because if we're not keeping them high, that is very dangerous at level 1, because you are very prone to dying randomly. And we'd really like not to die in the very first scene of the game. So again, we're looting the assassins. We're not taking stuff that's not worth a lot of money or stuff that is heavy. We are taking stuff that's useful, like healing potions. An armory. I'm sure Jamandi wouldn't mind if we borrowed some weapons. Jamandi, I think it's the Jamandi artillery. So, Lindsey, as a bard, has the ability to pick locks. Check result 13. So Lindsey did very well to pick that lock. And we've entered an armory. So again, now this time, are we morally justified in looting? Well, maybe. Maybe. Given that we're going to use this equipment we've got to defend the mansion, maybe it's slightly okay to take this rather than just random stuff that's lying around. However, bearing in mind that we're 2 sorcerers and a bard, this equipment, heavy armour, not very useful to us. None of our characters can even wear that. But if we were a different character class, this would be a good early opportunity in the game to make sure we had weapons or armour that was suitable to our character build and that actually was helpful. We are going to take this random key. That's not looting, that's just making sure we have the ability to move around the mansion.
What have we here? This chest is full of gold. I guess it's for the guards' salaries, all things considered. Well, those freeloaders don't seem to have been working too hard for it. Maybe we should pocket it instead.
So you can see Tartuccio just wants to steal this large pile of money we found lying around, but the money itself doesn't help us defend the mansion.
What? No, we're heroes, not thieves.
Lindsey disagrees strongly.
Who said we were stealing it? We'll just take the gold for safety so the assassins don't get it. And then we can heroically return it to Jamandi when this is all over.
So, which one do we think is most Hamid? And this is very weird, because obviously Hamid is a character I play and have played for 5 years, and having essentially someone else put words in this mouth is the downside of playing a game as this character. But which of these responses sounds the most Hamid? Stealing from a sword lord in her own mansion, she'd have our heads, because Hamid definitely doesn't want to steal, so he's not going to say gold, interesting, how much. Or no distractions, if you haven't forgotten they're trying to kill us. So we're not going to steal it. But are we more worried about the social consequences or the fact that it feels wrong? I mean, ideally there would be a 4th option here, which is how can you justify stealing? But I feel like 3 is our best option here. No distractions. If you haven't forgotten, they're trying to kill us. And Lindsey backs us up.
Do what you want. I don't care. It was just a suggestion. But there's a lot of money in that chest, and with all these bandits running around, it wouldn't be any better if they stole it.
I mean, it would be better because we wouldn't have compromised our sense of morals and ethics. But if we check the character sheet, so I've made Hamid neutral good for this. Lindsey is chaotic good. Tartuccio is chaotic evil. Isn't that interesting? I mean, don't love the alignment system in general, but the fact that people who do like the alignment system have written this game, and they have chosen to make Tartuccio an example of that particular alignment, it's very interesting. Yes, another thing to notice is this game does use the Encumbrance Rules. And if we check our inventory again, the party, so each individual member of the party is carrying a certain amount of weight. So Hamid is carrying £5, Lindsey is carrying almost £20, and Tartuccio is carrying 4.5. And the party as a whole is carrying an additional £36. And you can see these trackers under each person tell you whether that's light, medium, or heavy encumbrance. And if you go above the light category, there are minor in-game penalties for the party as a whole becoming encumbered, but slightly larger in-game penalties if an individual character becomes encumbered. So you do want to pay attention to how much weight you're giving for every character as a whole. Haha, that's pounds the weight rather than pounds the currency.
Just to swing at every shadow. It's me, Jathal. I don't recommend advancing down the hallway, assuming you value your life, of course. There were a few people with me, and you can see what happened to them.
So, we quite liked this woman when we first encountered her during the tiny bit of gameplay we had in the first stream. She also asked the same question we did, which was, what about the right of the people in the lands we're supposedly about to go and set up our own nation in to self-determine? But she apparently looks eerie in the semi-darkness. And the people who are travelling with her are dead, which is a little worrying.
You don't seem to have a scratch.
And Tartuccio's bringing up that point.
I'll answer but briefly and just once. Further scares and explanations will wait until we aren't being hunted by a group of assassins. Deal? All right. I'm undead. These traps are deadly to the living, but they're harmless to me.
So Jethal is an undead character, which is very interesting. Now, obviously, we're in an AU here where Hamid has not had the same experiences. But we know that Hamid's experience of undead is mixed, and that a party member who is undead is not necessarily something he is super against, as long as they're okay with it. The undead are not inherently a problem.
What do you mean undead? Really? Like zombies or skeletons?
Hashtag no spoilers.
As I said, further explanations will wait until later. All you need to know right now is that we're on the same side, and we have to fight off a small army of hired assassins. Let's get to it.
Okay, so Jethal has been added to our party. And now the game is explaining about traps and how they work in the game. And the good news is that Jethal is a melee character. So our 3 squishy ranged characters now get to travel with a melee character. And what we're going to do at this point is set up a formation for our party. And that formation is going to involve Jethal being front and center, and the other 3 characters being further back. So I opened this formation menu by clicking this button down in the little bar on the little section in the bottom left, and it opens this. This is how I want the party to default arrange themselves when I tell them to move to a new position. And this lets me have some control about which parties encounter things first and how that works. And in general, basically what you want is heavily armoured melee characters in the front rank, lightly armoured melee characters in the second rank, and ranged squishy characters at the back. But bear in mind, you will occasionally be attacked from behind, so you might want to mix that up a bit. So sorry, Jethal, but since you are a melee character, you get to go at the front. Okay, and here we see how the game handles traps. So the party successfully rolled their perception check, which means the party spotted the trap. Specifically, it was Jethal who spotted this trap. And it gets highlighted on the floor, and we can click on it. And Lindsey is the one who has the appropriate skill here as the party bard. Lindsey has the ability to disarm this trap, or at least make an attempt to disarm this trap when we click on it. And the game pauses so we don't accidentally run over the trap even after we've spotted it. So if we click, Lindsey should go towards it, and we'll make an attempt to disarm the trap.
Applause,
And she
please.
succeeded. Good work, Lindsey. Thank you. And let's check in this room first. Again, there's a bookshelf we could loot. We're not going to. Nothing else of interest. And we see these are the other adventurers that Jethal was apparently travelling with, who are now dead. Which does make us a bit worried about Jethal. And here's another trap. Lindsey, off you go. There's another trap there. Let's try and disarm that one too. And that was a locked door, which Lindsey managed to unlock as well. So you can see Lindsey is doing a very good job of substituting for the fact we don't have a party rogue right now. And therefore the one who has to unlock all the doors and disarm all the traps. Again, nothing in this room interesting other than something else we could loot. Again, we choose not to loot it, even though the game would give us 0 consequences for doing so. A dead body. Is this a resident or an assassin? This just says goods. This is probably a person who lived here in this castle. So again, the game is sort of telling us that it thinks we should steal these random items. I don't think we're morally justified in doing that, so we're leaving them behind. Hopefully this won't make the game too much harder. I think we should still be okay, to be honest. Oh, and here's some assassins talking to each other.
You cannot stand against me.
And we enter initiative order again. That's 5 damage. That's not great, but Jethal at least has enough hit points that she can take it. But she's not doing great. Now, the really bad thing here is that unfortunately for Jethal, she isn't undead. So none of the healing spells or the healing potions that the rest of the party has been using up to now will work for Jethal. So we're going to have to take these guys down before they hit Jethal again, or Jethal might be in serious trouble. Tartuccio missed. Lindsey is going to start singing to try and help a bit, but that means she's not going to get to attack. So in fact, taking these guys down is going to be quite difficult. Now Hamid I think is going to have to again use a magic missile here, because otherwise Jethal's going to be in trouble. It was not enough to take someone down. Oh dear. And Jethal swings with a massive scythe and at least takes one of them down, but the other one is still there. Round 2. Miss. Thankfully, Jethal will be okay then, in that case, it looks like. So now everyone just gets to fire their weapons at this guy.
You deserved it.
And there we go. Oh, and Lindsey even got a critical hit. And Tartuccio's wondering about the cash they were talking about. Okay, and we can loot these bodies. Okay, again, more healing potions. And more heavy stuff that is not worth very much money, so we're not going to take it. So, how do we heal Jethal? Problem. None of the healing abilities that the rest of our party has works, but Jethal is an Inquisitor. An Inquisitor is a spontaneous casting class, so they don't have to prepare spells, but they do get to cast spells, and they draw spells from a very similar spell list to Clerics. So it's quite a fun class for that reason. And Jethal actually has access to the spell Inflict Light Wounds. Now, if you use... Now, Inflict spells are the opposite of healing spells. So instead of healing someone, they deal damage to someone. However, healing spells and Inflict spells are reversed for undead. So an Inflict damage spell actually heals an undead character, and therefore Jethal can cast this on herself as a healing spell. So yeah, we absolutely cannot use any of the healing abilities that would work on any of the other characters on Jethal. So we continue exploring here. Some more chests we could steal from, and some statues that we can interact with. And what happens when we click on one of these statues? Will they raise or lower their swords? That's interesting. And the two assassins were talking about a cache. Presumably weapons or some other similar thing. 4 more statues we could interact with. So there were 2 in that room, 4 in this room. And a very conspicuous gap with a big painting on the wall here. Now it seems logical to me. And I haven't shown us this screen yet. But as with all good role-playing games... tardigrade jams, that's a good question. I don't believe they do. I think it's only the healing or damage effect of the spells. I don't think mercies and similar also reverse. So this is the journal screen, which shows us the quests we've got and the information pertinent to the plot that we've discovered so far. So the first thing is follow Lindsey, because... she's the one who woke us up during the attack. This is leave the hall. And the next one is we're trying to find Lady Jamandi. Go through the Trapford Hillroy, break the door to the armory, and find some weapons. And we've got a second quest, which is a secret room. Find and open a cache in the mansion. Now, I'm not interested in taking what's inside the cache. Again, we've decided that unless it's directly helping us in defending the mansion... But it being in the journal means I get XP for doing it. And I love XP. So, this is a puzzle. So we're going to leave 2 of the party in here and send 2 of the party back over here.
Just letting the ink dry.
Now, I reckon if we try
Anything is possible.
clicking some of these different things, we can see that each statue, if we click it, a different set of statues raise their swords. And I reckon if we can find a way to raise all the swords simultaneously, it will open this door. But that might be quite tricky. Now I should probably try and work it out a bit more, in a bit more of a detailed way. I hate this kind of puzzle. I feel like it's definitely possible to just work it out. And that is in no way what I'm doing right now. I'm just clicking randomly and hoping I hit the correct combination. Sorry guys, this can't be very exciting. This is not great content. Oh, do I actually need to sit down here and work it out? I know I've worked this out in the past as well. I've played through this section of the game twice. And the first time I sat here and I worked it out and I got it open. The second time I literally just turned up, clicked twice and happened to get the right combination. Why don't you all go take another break while I do this quickly? Less painful than 5D chess. Joe, rude. I mean, maybe not inaccurate, but still. No. Damn. No. So these two have to be the same. That's one of the key issues I'm having right now. Those two are opposite. Those two are opposite and also involve the third one. This seems to be the one that changes the least regularly. Damn. I thought I had it there. Sorry guys, I hope this is the really dull bit. I hope you're all managing to amuse yourselves while I sit here struggling. I've got almost all of them. I just keep getting one out of place. Ah. Ah. Catastrophizer, thank you. I keep feeling like I might have it, and then I don't quite. Oh! I could have sworn the entrance was over here. Maybe the game just took pity on me, because it took me so long. And I thought I was going to have to raise every single sword, but instead I lowered every single sword. I'm sure this is a different solution than I've had previously. Are you here? Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you.
Bryn is the puzzle master.
Okay, again, this is just money. This is not stuff that's going to help us defend this castle. Okay, the Wand of Magic Missile is going to help me defend the castle, and therefore I'm going to take it. And that's interesting. A monk weapon. So none of our characters are monk, but this is also a masterwork monk weapon. So at level 1, if you've got a character that can wield this weapon, that's a really good weapon for a level 1 character. Yeah, I think there might be Shy Magpie, because I don't believe in either of my previous 2 run-throughs of this game I've ever opened this room. I've opened a different room by raising all the swords, so maybe I should continue. I'm almost tempted to take this just to sell it later, but I've decided in this run I'm not doing that. So, and again, random stuff that we do not feel morally justified in taking. The Wand of Magic Missile, though, is a really helpful thing, because that means that Hamid is almost out of spells, but if we put on his belt a Wand of Magic Missile, it means he can cast Magic Missile a lot more times, 11 charges, before he's completely useless in a fight. Question is, are we going to keep going? Are we going to try and get all the swords to raise and open the other secret room? Yeah, so it's really strange that there don't seem to be any mechanical or plot penalties for just stealing every single thing in this entire mansion as you play through the game. No. No. Stop. Cancel. So I'm having a slight interface issue as well here, where I want to select all the characters at once, so that whenever I click one of these buttons, the nearest character actually does it. Oh, I thought I had it that time. This is such good content here. I'm doing such a good stream, just constantly clicking on the same buttons. I'm honestly just going to start another break and suggest you all go, and I'm going to stay here, and complete this damn puzzle while we're all on a break. All right, this is a great opportunity, guys, for you to go and get refresh your glasses, take a comfort break, do what you need to do. I'm going to put up the break screen. Super professional streamer, that's me. Thank you, people, for everyone in chat who put it out. I was still muted. Just didn't turn off the mute button when I came back from my break. I'm so good at this. Real profesh quality streamer. Oh, I shouldn't do that hand gesture. It's been co-opted. Real profesh quality streamer. Fun times. Welcome back to today's stream here on Rusty Quill Streams. I am Bryn. I play Hamid Salah Harun Al-Tahan on the Rusty Quill Gaming podcast, and today I'm streaming the game Pathfinder Kingmaker as the very same character. Yeah, I've missed a couple of shout-outs. Are You Here has cheered with 100 bits a couple of times.
Quality.
Catastrophizer has cheered with 5 bits. I may have said that one at the time. And Anonymous Gifter gifted us tier 1 sub to Queenie the Unicorn Girl at some point as well. Thank you so much, Anonymous sub gifter. Finger guns. Pew, 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 pew. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being awesome. I saw some conversation in chat during the break about...
Pew, pew.
Moliette Zoo, 138 bits. Double nice. Or nice, apparently, since it's pew pew is the message. Alea thinks with 100 bits for finger guns. Thank you so much. Some conversation in chat happened during the break about stream times and stream schedules. So Rusty Quill is gradually expanding the stream schedule. There are various slots that people in or attached to Rusty Quill the company can request. And depending on the success of Rusty Quill streams, these will be expanded, offered more frequently. I can't go into all the behind-the-scenes details, obviously, but one of the slots available for performers to book is 8 p.m. on a weekday evening. So our schedule at the weekends and on weekdays is slightly different. So obviously, Anil, for example. Moliere 2, 5 gift subs. Thank you so much, Moliere 2. That's really, really nice of you. So Anil's Wednesday evening streams, for example, start at 5 p.m. But I requested an 8 p.m. Start slot. That's the same time I start my own personal streams on my own personal channel. I tend to stream twice a week, most weeks, on my own personal channel, Brave Sir Fibblethip, and I generally stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. And I tend to wrap those streams up at about 10 p.m. But for Rusty Quill, Kiritsuzu, 300 bits, thank you so much. And Dimusfer, am I saying that right? Gave out another gift sub. And Zalia, you also gave out, is that a gift sub? Community sub gift, is that the same as a gift sub? Why is the terminology suddenly changing on me? But thank you so much to everyone sharing things in the channel. It does make it hard to think. Mojiedzu is right. It's disrupting my train of thoughts, but it's lovely nonetheless. And I'm just wow, Bryn's slaying me with one sentence. Old man confused by Twitch language. Hey, I've been on Twitch for literally 6 years. I'm so good at Twitch, and I think of them as gift subs, and they're now called community sub gifts, and just the simple perturbation in the order of words was enough to throw me off because I'm old and bad at new things. Guys, everyone should know that Bryn is my official nemesis, and I couldn't be happier. They are absolutely brilliant, and I adore them, and they are the absolute perfect nemesis for me, and I'm so grateful. God, what was I saying? Yeah, so I tend to stream later. Because that works better with the rest of my
love for fellow old
schedule.
And Bardavich folks.
100 bits from Shiny Blackbird, thank you. So 8 p.m. and I'm scheduled to go until potentially 11 p.m. I might wrap up a little bit earlier than that because streaming can be a bit tiring. And this game is reasonably heavy on my computer and makes it get really hot here in my bedroom. So I might just melt before 11 p.m, but we'll see. Catastrophizer, thank you for the 100 bits. But yeah, that's what we're doing here today. And yeah, do feel free to check out one of my personal streams on my personal channel at some point if you feel like it. I tend to stream other games, which I won't plug too hard here. But if you feel like giving me a follow over on Twitter or on Twitch, and check it out if you feel like it. I will say that some of the games I've been streaming have been a bit difficult content-wise, and I would say be if you rock up to a random stream, I'll do my best to provide content warnings and explain what's going on, so you can make informed choices. But do be aware of that, because there are sometimes content warnings on some of my streams. Brave Sir Fibblethip is how you pronounce that, and it's a character from Magic the Gathering, and I'm a fan. So yes, just a quick reminder, we're the Rusty Quill. We make podcasts. Check us out at rustyquill.com. You can check out our podcasts, the Magnus Archives, Rusty Quill Gaming, and Stellar Firma on all good podcast services, and you can find us on most major social media sites. And I'm here streaming Pathfinder Kingmaker today. I took a break while I finished a puzzle because it was outstanding, engaging content, watching me repeatedly click on the same 6 buttons in a random order, desperately hoping that it would be the correct random order to open a secret door in the game. But let's get back to it. So the other thing I did during the break was I saved my game. I have found Pathfinder to be very slightly unstable. I have had random crashes. Not a huge amount, given the number of hours I've put into the game. And it is, as I said, the game is reasonably heavy in terms of processing power. So do make sure you've got a computer that can handle it if you want to play it. But it is definitely worth saving relatively often in this sort of game. But let's get back to the game. I did attempt to turn the sound off while I was gone, but it seems to have reasserted itself. I don't remember if I changed that myself or not. Oh well. Okay, so, yeah, the puzzle indeed. So it seems that, interestingly, on this playthrough, I discovered something I didn't discover in either of my previous playthroughs. If you get all 6 of these statues to lower their swords simultaneously, you open this room. If you get all 6 of these statues to raise their swords simultaneously, you open this room. And this is the room I've been in several times. Never seen this room before, so that was pretty cool. Once again, we're specifically only taking stuff that will help aid us in the defense of the mansion, because we've decided we're playing through this game with a sense of ethics, and we're not going to justify just looting every single thing we come across, which may hamper our ability to do well at the game. Do we feel like we need a potion of removed blindness? Probably not. But we're taking it on, and we're going to do our best to see if we can take this slight handicap in the cause of role-playing a character, and continue playing the game anyway. So, we've got our party. We've got Jaethal, the undead inquisitor. We've got Hamid and Tartuccio, both draconic bloodline sorcerers. And we've got Lindsey the bard as our current party. And we're progressing through this mansion, fighting off the assassins that have come to take down the adventurers who are about to head out into the stolen lands to found a new kingdom. Dimmersford, yeah, this is absolutely Baldur's Gate is the game that this is partly an homage to, and I loved that game when I was younger, and this is one of the reasons that I was here. April, oh my God, April, you're in England. April, you're in my time zone, you're in my country. I'm so excited. Sorry, guys. April, if you don't know, is Rusty Quill's executive producer, and head of the production team for essentially everything Rusty Quill based. A very important behind the scenes person. Also produces amazing art, including all the art we've used so far on break screens and welcome screens and such like for this stream, and is all round lovely. Oh, you're getting on the plane. Oh my God. Okay, that's a relief. I was worried you were that I was about to explode from excitement. Okay, but April, have a great flight. I'm so excited. I hope everything goes smooth. Okay, let's continue with this game. So we can see we're finally to the other side of this barrier that was created by the frost giant earlier, and there's some more assassins. And we can see already the amount of content in this game which is just purely combat. So you really do want to build and curate your experience specifically for that. There's another 3 enemies. I've got 8 rounds left of singing today. Do I want to sing again? I think I want to sing again. And Lindsey, in general, does not want to get too close to the enemies. So we're going to go this way. Jaethal, on the other hand, is definitely going to be getting close to the enemies. And Jaethal here is going to take, as a melee character, the charge action, which hopefully will allow Jaethal to close directly to an enemy and attack all in one motion. And you get a bonus on the attack for charging, but it does lower your AC. But we're just going to take that risk and see if we can take this guy down. One fell attack. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, that's Jaethal's turn, and now the enemies are going. That bowman missed Jaethal with an arrow, but that scored a critical hit and did 4 damage. Don't love that. Tartuccio's turn. Tartuccio. With, again, low on spells here, so we're going to use crossbows. But that's a good hit. Hamid, going to do the same. Now, Hamid is also low on spells, but has just picked up a wand of magic missile, so could start using that as an alternative to spell casting, but with the same effect. But the crossbow's proving itself a reasonably reliable weapon right now. Interestingly, this little corner we've chosen to hide in as Lindsey is still in crossbow range, so we can shoot this guy from right here. Excellent. And we've got another ally character here, Casey. Jethal could charge again, but I think just a regular move and attack will be better this time. And you always want, if you can, if there are enemy ranged combatants, then having a melee character right next to them is great, because it means that every time they take an attack with a ranged weapon, you get an attack of opportunity against them. Barak, this is a new turn-based game mode. There was a major patch released for the game today that includes turn-based mode, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to revisit this game, stream it again, and show this off, because I'm so much more excited to play this game with the turn-based mode implemented. And that was one of the major features in today's patch. It was a big patch as well, 20 gig patch. And yeah, that's why we're here, basically. Yeah, I find it stressful and confusing, Adri, basically. Like, it's just too much for me. There's too many inputs and too much to process all at once. And so I'm so much happier turn-based. Now, I have read that doing it turn-based means it's easier.
This is where I
so what? It's more fun. Good shot from Lindsey, but this guy still isn't down. But there are a lot of us around them. And one of us is going to kill him very soon. There we go. Critical hit, 39 damage. That's 39 damage at level 1. That's one of the extreme advantages of a side weapon. It has a ridiculous critical modifier, so when you achieve a critical hit, you do an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. So this is the Tiefling girl we saw at the reception before the attacks. Bit boring, but now joining in. Lindsey pointing out that combat is not fun, but is instead a serious business. And Hamid probably agrees. Remember, this is an AU Hamid, so reaction to violence and combat is not quite the same as our lovely RQG Hamid. And we're in a world where sorcerers are a lot more common, and so he's probably aware of his heritage and bloodline, and therefore what he is, which he was not in the main RQG timeline. Yeah, 5 foot step is an option in the new turn-based mode, Barak. But that doesn't mean. So having said that about Hamid, and we're in AU, and therefore we don't have the same reaction, doesn't mean we necessarily don't have the same viewpoint, and therefore we don't necessarily love combat, don't necessarily love all the death and killing it involves. But it's a much more common feature of this world and of Hamid's experience in this world, so we have to deal with it. So Hamid has apparently passed a knowledge world check and therefore recognises Casey's accent. But just to say, you sound like a Kalashite, am I right? That seems a bit rude. And to rush off immediately is also a bit rude. This seems the most Hamid line. I don't think we've met.
I am Kayesi. One of
oh, Kayesi, not Casey. Kayesi.
Answering the call of Lady Jamandi. But unlike the others, I never dropped my guard, day or night. It's why I'm still alive.
So this is very common in this game. You can see we've got the same 3 responses as options we've just had. So if we choose the same response, we'll get the same line from the NPC. But we can continue the conversation with either of the other 2 lines. Now, this one is basically asking about her background in-game, but it sounds a bit rude to our ears. If we want all the information, we'll occasionally have to pick options that sound a bit weird or a bit rude. But perhaps we're under too much time pressure to chat about where we're from at this point in the game. So let's go for. There are assassins on the prowl. We have to go.
I don't know where you're heading, but I'll be at the entrance to the main hall. I think I saw some guards there. Join me there if you wish.
So that's where we're headed, the main hall. That's where we expect to find Lady Jamandi Aldori. Okay, we just killed some assassins. Oh, and there's a guy here complaining on the floor. This is it. This is my time. Lord Grotus, take my soul. But first, let's loot some bodies and take more healing potions. We seem to have healing potions on every single person we fight. Currently, Jethal is down 4 hit points, but we have a lot less healing available for Jethal because she is undead. We can't loot the bodies of our friends, but we can talk to this guy lying on the ground.
I can sense your silhouette hovering over me. It won't be much longer. soon we shall meet, O Lord of Oblivion.
So a dwarf is lying on the ground, staring into the dark sky. Doesn't seem to have any severe wounds, but his trembling whisper is weak, as though he were at death's door. And then we heard his voice line. So we've met a dwarf who seems to be having trouble coping with life. How interesting. What's wrong?
I'm dying. I knew this expedition was doomed. Oh, Grotus, my vision darkens.
Okay, so we can pour one of the dwarf's healing potions into his mouth and say this should help. We can make a diplomacy check and say you're a bit premature, you've barely got a scratch. Or we can make an intimidate check. Quite the act. Stand and fight, or I'll kill you, basically. Now, there's two considerations here. One is what is the most in character action, and one is what action do we actually think we have a significant chance of succeeding at. Now, in this game, both I believe both these skill checks come off the same basic skill, which is called Persuasion. And both Hamid and, in fact, Tartuccio are very good at them. So we've got a very high chance of succeeding at either of these skills. So the question is, which option do we take here? Joe, I agree. I think stop dying or I'll kill you is a bit thing. I think I agree with DS Lady E, which is that level 1 Hamid feels like number 2 is the best option. But number 3 also seems in character enough. This should help.
Too late. Forgive me. Oblivion is calling.
The dwarves who are in shadow as they are begin to heal, but he seems not to notice as he keeps whispering. Okay, let's try diplomacy. That didn't work. Didn't have the effect we wanted, so we'll try the diplomacy. Aren't you being a bit premature? Look at yourself. You've barely got a scratch.
You're wrong.
Failed a diplomacy check.
Oh
dear.
Of my own wounds. I can feel the last drops of vital force leaving me.
So we don't have many options here. Either we can attempt the intimidate as well, or we just keep getting stuck in the dialogue. So I guess we try the intimidate check. This is where it starts to feel weird, because I don't feel like this is very Hamid at all. But now I'm having words put in Hamid's mouth. Quit the act. Stand and fight, or I'll really send you to your final rest.
I can't hear you.
Oh no! Failed that too.
Taken away into the darkness.
Up, you faker! Just look at him, dying. He's
Don't really know what happens now. We're supposed to recruit this guy into our party. We just failed both options. Okay, looks like the game might have rescued us by letting Tartuccio have a dialogue
I
line.
must postpone meeting my god. Not for long, I'm sure.
I wonder if that will have any
While we remain in this
consequences.
transient world, Aaron is at your service.
And here's a little tip about how clerics work in Pathfinder. But again, we know the Pathfinder rules, so we're fine with that. And now we have a 5th party member. And Harim is also a melee character with a decent AC. So we may want to review our formation that we had before. And in fact, now we've got 2 melee characters, so they can go at the front together and defend our squishy ranged characters. And Harim has access to a whole bunch of spells and some channel positive energy as well as a healing option. But he definitely can't use that on Jethal, because Jethal isn't undead. So we failed our dialogue, but Tartuccio convinced Harim not to give up completely on life. And now we're wandering through this very pretty garden. And now the game is telling us about formations, but we've already shown them. So we've got these lovely statues of this stag god. Very pretty fountain. If we hit M at any time, we can bring up a map of the world. And look, on the map it shows every piece of loot that we've passed by as we've wandered through this mansion. Joe. That is a glorious pun. Well done. He has a harem now. Yep. Some guards that are alive. One of them even has a name. So he's Casey, Kayesi, and Kestin Garrus. So let's initiate dialogue.
You, run and get an axe. You, bring more water. You stay here and hold our defense. Those assassins are still around here somewhere.
The stout man's unshaven face is covered with scars. There's blood on his armour, but he doesn't seem to even notice his wounds as he constantly gives orders to the guards. So, a competent and still alive senior member of the guard staff. This guy seems good, and like he's in charge of the situation. That's great.
Aha! Some of our guests survived. Good. You need to get to the banquet hall and help Lady Jamandi.
Okay, so we've got various dialogue options here. We may end up choosing... I imagine we'll come back to this as well, so it's more a question of which order we choose these options in. Let's get straight to the point. Do you need help putting out the fire?
Oh, we'll manage. I've got my best people here, those who still live. Your place is by Lady Aldori's side.
It doesn't seem right. What if some of the guards are wounded? We need to help them.
Lindsey's not wrong. Okay, so he sort of explained the answer to these already. I don't think we necessarily need to know who this guy is. Like, it's clear what his role is. So, do we ask what's going on here, or do we think we know that already at this point? Little Buddy Moth, got to play as Carter if we want all the loot. Yeah, fair. Or should we just say, where's the hall? No, let's ask for a bit more detail on the situation. So what is going on here?
Someone opened the gate, let in a group of assassins in the middle of the night. Now they've set the mansion on fire to cut off access to the hall. They don't want Lady Jamande to get reinforcements. We cleared the passage so you can get through. Just try to avoid inhaling the smoke. We'll be right behind you. We just need to put out the fire first to save the mansion.
Okay, that has explained the situation in more detail. Okay, great. That is helpful. So now we understand the situation, and it's our job to continue.
I'm not surprised that a whole pack of assassins were unleashed on her, including a giant. But what's at stake? What could anyone hope to gain?
The tiefling squints, obviously curious and thinking quickly. And it's worth noticing here that Keston, at this point, did actually explain that someone on the inside opened the door to the assassins in the middle of the night. Let's note that down for later.
You'll have to run through the fire. We've almost
Where's
put
the
it out
hall?
at the entrance, so your main concern should be to not inhale any smoke. Hold your breath and take the first right, then head straight down the hallway.
And if you're playing this game yourself and not putting quite so much effort into maintaining character, it's probably worth exploring all the dialogue options. Again, there's very rarely a penalty to just looking at getting as much information as possible by asking every possible question. But here, I think we've got enough information, and we're going to say, I'll go immediately.
Fire doesn't frighten me, thanks to hell's blood running in my veins. I'll go ahead and wait for you on the other side. Catch up!
The tiefling girl starts off and dashes through the fire.
May Abadar keep you safe.
Abadar being one of the gods in this world. Oh, actually, I haven't shown yet that when you are in dialogue like that and a god's name or some other world feature is mentioned, you actually you can hover over it to get more information on the world, which, you know, basically stuff your character would know, which is a feature I really like, and I haven't shown that yet. I'll try and remember to do that if we get another chance. So we step into the fire, and we enter an illustrated book episode. Some game events play out as illustrated book episodes. Decisions you make during these episodes can have a drastic impact on the development of the game's plot. As with dialogues, you will often need to make various skill checks during these episodes. Depending on the circumstances, sometimes you will need to choose one of your party members to perform an action, and sometimes an action will be automatically performed by the character with the highest skill bonus. And this is the theory is this is an excerpt from the book that Lindsey is writing. But this is really cool. So some situations that you encounter in a normal role-playing game, completely impossible to program in the scope of a normal computer game. And I really love this feature because it's an alternative way to present different sorts of scenes and different sorts of encounter within the context of a role-playing game. So it's something I like a lot. And this is one of the slight weirdnesses. So obviously, I choose to use Hamid's full name quite often because I like it, and it's a little interesting character quirk for Hamid specifically. But it does feel a bit false occasionally. And really, if Hamid would introduce himself sometimes with his full name and sometimes as just as Hamid, and it's a slight quirk that he is a character who chooses to use his full name a lot just for the fun of it, basically. But it does mean that because I put it into the game, it gets used a lot of times in the dialogue. And so this is an extract from Lindsey's book. And so our adventure started, earlier and much more tragic than we'd expected. The whole team who'd gathered in the hall yesterday had been reduced to but a handful of brave souls, led by Hamid, and not at all by that scoundrel Tartuccio, no matter what he might have imagined of himself. Jamandi Aldori was waiting for us, but to get to her we'd have to march through fire, literally. As we approached the burning building, we drenched ourselves with buckets of water, tried to find a less dangerous passage, covered our nose and mouths before we rushed inside. Drenching ourselves might help a little bit, but it seems like the fire is already being fought, and actually I think the thing we need to worry about most is smoke inhalation. Interesting typo, considering I'm not typing, but instead speaking out loud. How do you typo something when you're speaking out loud? So I definitely think 3 is the correct option here. As we approached the burning building, we covered our noses and mouths before we rushed inside. It was a good thing we hadn't wasted any time. After entering the building and taking just a few steps forward, the wall behind us slanted and crashed down with a terrible crackling sound, blocking the way back. While we may not have planned on going back, if we'd come in a little later, the flaming logs and red-hot bricks would have fallen right on our heads. Regardless, we were left with only one way to go. The hot air burned our lungs and our eyes watered from the smoke, but Hamid led us stubbornly through the flames, while Tartuccio did nothing useful at all. We'd made it to the hallway leading to the banquet hall when we heard someone calling for us. It was Valerie, one of the guards I chatted with a bit in the banquet hall. Even then, in that calm setting, I'd been stunned by her beauty. I mean, it's a bit weird to mention how a female character looks in the middle of a dramatic, tense scene, but such is life. But now, amid the smoke and flame, she looked like a celestial avenger, an armoured deity, menacing but beautiful and merciful, descending from the higher spheres to help us poor mortals. She held a burned, barely living guard in her arms. "There are 2 more, she shouted as she passed by us. "They are wounded. Help me pull them out." Tartuccio grumbled something about how Jamandi was waiting for us. Meanwhile, Hamid... Now, this is very interesting here. So again, we've got a choice here. We have... both a character choice, but also which one are we more likely to see that? Athletics 15, and we've only got a +2 modifier, which is coming from Jithal. No one else in our party has any athletics. Rush to save the guards from the fire. Or Diplomacy 16 shouted to Valerie that she should leave them and join us to help Jamandi Aldori. Now, we've got a much better chance of succeeding at this skill check, but to just leave the guards to die in the fire seems pretty horrible to me. So even though we're probably going to fail, I think we have to try. And it's interesting, of course, those of you who have listened to more than a few episodes of Rusty Quill Gaming will remember very early on, in, episode 3, we had this exact choice. Try to save people from a fire, even though we were not necessarily mechanically very good at that. So, we're going to at least try. Meanwhile, Hamid rushed to save the guards from the fire. Failed, unsurprisingly. Saving the poor fellows was harder than it seemed. We inhaled a lot of smoke and burned ourselves more than once before managing to pull them away from the fire. Only then did Valerie pause to catch her breath and wipe the sweat from her face. "Thank you, that was truly noble of you. And now let us rush to Lady Aldori's aid." Ensuring the guards we'd rescued were relatively safe, we made our way to the hall where the battle was already in full swing. So, we have another party member. Valerie has joined us now, and everyone in our party is fatigued because we failed that athletics check and inhaled a bunch of smoke. So that's bad. And you can see that in this little column next to the character portraits, we get these statuses. Fatigued, and we are fatigued for 5 hours. A fatigued character cannot charge and takes -2 penalties of strength and dexterity. So, not great. Now, Valerie is an excellent, and here are the guards we just rescued. Valerie is an excellent character. She's another melee character, and she's very heavily armoured. In fact, we can bring up her character sheet. She wields a bastard sword and a tower shield, and has an AC of 22, which at level 1 is absurd. And let me tell you, her AC only keeps going up as you go through the game. It is awesome. So, we're going to pause very quickly while we, once again, adjust our formation. So we now got 3 melee characters and 3 ranged characters. And with Valerie being the most heavily armoured by a fair way, we're going to have a formation that looks a bit like this for now. With Valerie front and centre, other 2 melee characters on either side, and then the ranged characters further back. And here we have the door. I think this is to the main hall. We decided not to loot guard corpses, but we did loot assassin corpses of useful things. Guards got to keep their possessions. But you can see here that at the end of every area, you get a little screen, which is, and I think this is a really good feature of the game, which means if you missed something or decided not to pick something up for reasons you've changed your mind, you can actually collect any loot as you leave an area of the map. Which means you don't necessarily have to be super diligent about going and looting every single thing available. Which I think is a nice, helpful little feature of the game, personally. Because we're all fatigued, notice that the party as a whole has moved into medium encumbrance, which could have some very slight negative effects on us, but I think we're going to have to live with that. And here we are, a massive fight. So you can see there's a whole bunch of enemies around here. This is bad. And then we've got 2 high-level NPCs inside a barrier fighting the giant frost giant. A massive initiative order full of all these NPCs at this point. Did we not manage to recruit Amiri? I feel like Amiri should be here, the barbarian woman, as well. She's a great character to have in this kind of situation. I'm not sure why she's not here, and I'm a little sad about it. So who are we? Lindsey. Okay, Lindsey, time to start singing. Definitely, this is the big final battle of this section of the game. The prologue section, the opening scene. So we're definitely gonna need some singing during this fight. Oh, we left Lindsey open to attack. That was a terrible idea. Oh no! Lindsey, no! Okay, they're not attacking Lindsey, thank God. I should not have moved Lindsey towards the enemies. Luckily, the enemy AI is meaning they still are not attacking Lindsey. Lindsey, no! Why did I do this? Okay, Hamid. Hamid is actually going to take the first round of combat here to cast Shield on himself and increases AC for the rest of the fight, because otherwise he would be incredibly vulnerable to getting hurt as well. Valerie. Right, Valerie is our tank and basically therefore wants to draw as many attacks as possible from the enemies, but she's already standing next to 2 of them, so she can attack with her Bastard Sword, and 8 damage is pretty good. Jethal is also a nice melee character, so can close with the enemies and does a decent amount of damage. That was Kaesi using Water Blast. Nice. And a miss from that enemy. Who are we here? So this is Harim. I actually think Harim at this point might use a spell. He's going to cast Bless, which is going to give all our allies a bonus for the rest of the fight. But he's also a melee character, so therefore we want to close melee attack distance. And I really hope we haven't left Lindsey open to too many attacks, because we could have made that Lindsey does not do well in this fight. So actually what we're going to do is we don't even like Tarticho, so we're just going to run him right into the gauntlet of all these enemies and see and use Burning Hands to hit them all at once. So these Rift Channelers are the ones holding this barrier, keeping the high-level NPCs and the high-level enemies separate from this little fight. Okay, we're back to Lindsey. So the good news is Lindsey has healing spells and therefore is going to attempt to heal herself before she takes even more damage, and then she's going to move away from the fight slightly. Okay, let's try not to get Lindsey killed in this fight, please. Lindsey is an excellent character who we do not wish harm to. And now everyone's hurting Tartuccio, which is fine. Oh, take some more damage. Okay, Tartuccio might actually die, and I don't think that would be an ideal outcome. Oh no, Lindsey, no! Okay, we healed Lindsey, and that meant she's okay. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, Hamid. Right, Hamid, time to start using... Do we want to use the crossbow, or do we want to start using magic missile from the wand? I actually feel like the crossbow might be a slightly better weapon at this point. We really want to get some more melee characters nice to close with all these ranged characters, so we get attack of opportunities when they try to fire at us. But currently we're tied up with these 2 melee characters here. So if we can finish the guys off relatively quickly, it'll help free up our melee characters to close down the enemy archers. So Valerie hit 1 successfully, great. Jethal is going to do the same. Okay, good. Down. Do you have any movement left, Jethal? You do not. Alright. So Kaesi is a nice helpful NPC on our side in the fight. Harim. Okay, Harim's going to take a charge action here. Oh, Harim cannot take a charge action because he's fatigued. He is going to take a double move in order to close to melee range with a lot of these enemies, so that if they try and use more ranged attacks, he gets an attack of opportunity. Tartuccio is going to use Burning Hands, and he's going to try and avoid hitting Harim with it. Nice. Good area of effect. Now, you are also nearly dead, so maybe we do want to let you drink a healing potion. Even though we don't like you, you probably don't deserve to die yet. Okay, Lindsey. You can shoot at this... Oh, you missed. You can move as well. Do we want to move you? Yeah, we're going to move you down here so that the melee characters run past you and present themselves as larger targets. Cause fear on Lindsey. Will saving throw failed. So Lindsey is now frightened. Ah, there's Amiri. Good work, Amiri. Amiri is raging and bossing. Has the fear effect ended already? That's weird. I thought there was going to be a fear effect there. Hamid, you are going to use your crossbow for now, I think. No, you're not. You're going to use your brand new Wand of Magic Missile. That seems appropriate. Let's take out the Assassin Leader with Magic Missiles. Okay, Valerie, I really wish you could charge. You can't, but you can close to melee distance. Onwards. So that's your turn over. And Jethal, you could use some spells, but no, I think it's better for you to also potentially close to melee distance with some of these other characters here. That's what you want your melee characters to do. Make sure the enemy ranged characters can't operate with impunity. Oh, and you can see the game just slowed down for a second there. Which is not ideal, but does occasionally happen. Okay, Harim, you're already next to these guys, so you can take a melee attack on one of these archers. Ooh, good hit, Harim. I found Harim is not always very good in combat. Not a super great combat build, but does have, as a cleric, does have some very useful spells. But that was a good hit. And we can see we're nearly through all these enemies now, so hopefully we're no longer at risk of losing anyone. Tartuccio has a spell left, so Tartuccio is also going to use Magic Missile on this Assassin Leader. And then he's going to move backwards a bit, because he remains a squishy ranged character, and so shouldn't be too used to get too close to all these enemies. Okay, round 4 of this combat. Lindsey. Lindsey is out of spells, is only singing for one more round, but can still use a crossbow pretty well. So let's move a little closer to this archer, hitting them with the crossbow attack. Cause fear. Once again, Lindsey is frightened. But it doesn't have a very long-lasting time. And Amiri is an absolute machine cutting these people down. So, Hamid, again, uses his Wand of Magic Missile on the assassin leader.
Stay behind me!
This assassin leader has the mirror image spell cast upon himself, which means that non-magic missile attacks have a chance of hitting a mirror image. And if they do, they eliminate a mirror image, basically gives you a bunch of free hits. So right now, he's not taking damage from all these characters attacking him, but he will soon. Jethal is going to attack this Rift Channeler and completely destroy them. Harem is going to attack the assassin leader, and again hits a mirror image, but I think all the mirror images are gone now, so future melee attacks are going to be alright, and the next melee attack that's going to happen at the leader is probably a Amiri, and if Amiri doesn't kill him in one shot, I'll be quite surprised. But it's Tartuccio first. Tartuccio is out of spells, so has used his crossbow. He's not very good with the crossbow, and misses. There's one more Rift Channeler over there as well. The Rift Channelers don't actually get involved in the fight, so we're doing pretty well at this point. Oh, Lindsey's running away, because Lindsey had that fear effect cast on her. Ray of Enfeeblement was cast, but it missed, and everyone got attacks of opportunities. And there we go. Amiri absolutely destroys the assassin leader, because Amiri is badass and awesome. Okay, so one more enemy. Hamid moves towards them to reduce the range and shoots with the crossbow. Oh, he can't shoot with the crossbow. Why can't? Oh, because he's probably got the wand equipped, I guess. Oh, no, he can't use the wand either. Did I move too far? I think I moved too far and triggered my second move action. Yeah, I moved ever so slightly too far and accidentally moved up my standard action. Used up my standard action with moving rather than using it to attack. Oops, never mind. Yeah, so the interface is not always super obvious about that, so we do occasionally have to be a bit careful we don't accidentally move too far and use up our entire round action. Valerie. If we could charge here, we would take a charge action, but we can't, so we'll just close to melee range. Same for Jethal. Oh, Jethal could have charged, because Jethal is not fatigued because of being an undead, but never mind. Everyone's closing. This one remaining enemy is super dead, absolutely surrounded by much more heavily armoured characters. Who's going to get the killing blow? Is it going to be Tartuccio? Tartuccio gets to use a crossbow. There we go. 7 damage, not enough to kill them. But they just triggered 4 attacks of opportunity and got absolutely destroyed. In your faces, jerks, says Amiri, because she's awesome. Should we loot some bodies quickly? Assassins, we will steal all the potions. 4 potions of critical items. A potion of bark skin, that's quite nice. That gives us extra natural armor. It boosts our AC. Again, we're not going to steal the weapons or the armor because they're heavy and they're not worth that much money, so it's no point carrying them to sell them later. A vial of Alchemist's Fire. An acid flask. These can be used as weapons. They're quite cool. They're little area effect weapons. And an unidentified magical item the assassin leader was wearing. Hamid Salah Haroun Al-Tahan identifies as braces of armor +1. Now, braces of armor are quite a common item in D&D, and we haven't really encountered them in RPG, the RPG campaign, but they're pretty good. They basically count as, for characters who can't wear armor, such as sorcerers and wizards, they can give you an effective benefit as if you were wearing armor, which doesn't stack with normal armor, but it essentially means you're not completely armorless all the time. So we'll probably give those to Hamid to give Hamid a tiny bit of armor at least. Okay, so did we loot all the bodies? Didn't quite. There's still some bodies over here that we haven't looted. More healing potions. Any masterwork things that are worth looting? No. So as I mouse, just as a quick hint, guys, as I mouse over the weapons, it brings up a description and tells us what the item does. But the two things that I'm actually looking at are the two things at the bottom. Bottom left says how much weight the item is, and the bottom right says how many gold pieces the item is worth. And basically, if the weight's not too big and the gold pieces are big enough, I will take the item to sell later. But if those two things aren't at a good ratio, I will ignore it. We can apparently... This table is interactable with. I wonder what the table says. A large map of Brevoy and its surroundings, clotted with numerous cryptic marks and notes. But here is Jamandi Aldori and her associate Esvanki Keeg, who fought off the Frost Giant. Oh, do we get to loot the Frost Giant? Oh, we can take a great axe and a chain shirt from the Frost Giant, but we don't want either of those things, so that's fine. Right, let's talk to Jamandi Aldori. That was the person who hired us for the mission, and this is the end of the opening scene.
Thank you
of
for
the game.
your valor and bravery. The enemy was strong, but you were stronger, and that means I made the right choice. Just as I thought, there were worthy leaders among you. I'm especially grateful to them for the courage and common sense they showed while defending the mansion. But this attack means we have even less time than I thought. Someone already knows of our plans and is acting against us. You'll begin your expedition immediately.
Lady Aldori, please, I know who arranged this attack. The vile king of Pitax, Iroveti. What's more, I know who among us works for him. Hey, you! Show everyone the ring you're wearing. You think I wouldn't recognize Iroveti's seal? That's why he wasn't killed. The bandits recognized him as one of their own by this signet ring.
Oh my god, you guys. So the ring that Tartuccio gave us not 3 hours ago was, in fact, an attempt to set us up and pin the crime of assisting the assassins on us. It was a terrible idea to put on the magical ring that the explicitly evil character gave to us. Who could have seen that twist coming? Still worth it. AC, always good. Right, we have two different responses here. We can diplomacy and explain the situation, or we can explain that I have no connection to Pitex, but Tartuccio's name, accent, and clothes seem like he came straight from there. So, yeah. I feel like the top option is the better one here. Hopefully Hamid has high enough diplomacy that we can succeed. And yeah, I think that pointing out his accent and clothes as proof he's in league with them is it's not okay, basically. So let's try and explain the situation. Let's be honest about what happened and see if anyone believes us. Tartuccio's trying to set me up. He's the one who gave me this ring.
Yes. Such a gambit would be typical of Iroveti and his henchmen. And yet, it still seems suspicious. There's definitely a spy among us. But who? All I have is one word against another. I'm afraid you're both under suspicion.
They both came to your aid, Lady Jamandi. But a liar's cunning knows no bounds. I've never met these two or their companions. For all I know, they're all conspiring spies.
How could you say that? We fought together. We literally went through fire together.
I love Lindsey.
And then you vanished into thin air. After you promised you'd wait.
My words might be rash.
I bet my life despise anyone but this man.
So Amiri seems to be on our side, which is good because I love her.
My own eyes. A true warrior. I'd go with him through hell and high water. This purple crook, on the other hand, he's got the eyes of a spy, and the mug.
I mean, everyone seems to be very biased towards appearances, which is a slight shame.
Lady Aldori, don't listen to this thick-headed barbarian. She doesn't know what she's talking about. During the attack, our leader showed his true colors. He forced us to break into the armory and rob it.
So you may remember that in dialogue choices during the mission, it was actually Tartuccio pushing for that option and pushing to rob even more than we did. And interestingly, both our dialogue options here have the same mechanical implication. We have to make a diplomacy check with DC 11, and hopefully Hammer's diplomacy is high enough that either way we will succeed. But notice that we've also got this note here that either one of these responses will shift our alignment slightly. So our current alignment is neutral good. This will shift us very slightly towards lawful neutral. This will shift us very slightly towards chaotic neutral. And this happens quite a lot in the game. The option you take during dialogue choices may cause minor alignment shifts. And if you take enough in a single direction, your character's alignment will change. Now, I don't always agree with the label they give to the different alignments. But that's how the game works. And it is quite a cool mechanic that there are alignment consequences to certain choices and how you choose to, explain or justify yourself. But yeah, it's good, Dr. Teotime, because it shows how alignment is it's not a single fixed thing, but actually a mix of different influences. And so every choice you make contributes a little bit, but it's only if overwhelmingly all your choices point in a single direction that's what your alignment means. And obviously neither of the choices available here match our alignment perfectly, but these are the two options available to us at this time. I feel like the first one is the slightly more hammered response. Forgive me for my trespass. In my defence, we were in the middle of a battle and in dire need of weapons.
Considering the circumstances, that was more than reasonable.
So we succeeded at our diplomacy check.
That was a sound decision. Sometimes one must act at one's own risk and peril until crossing the boundaries of what is allowed. Showing initiative is no crime.
And Valerie has also jumped to our defence.
It is insane when faced with death to stop and question whether you may be breaking some law or rule. Even more insane would be to ask forgiveness for making the right decision. Sorry, but your words display a lack of wisdom.
So interestingly, Harim thinks that we were right to do what we did, but wrong to apologise. So it feels like he's not going to get on with Hamid that well, because Hamid is constantly apologising.
What about that trick he pulled right before we came in here?
No, what's Tartuccio accusing of us of now?
He knew very well you were fighting the enemy, but instead of rushing to help you, he dallied as long as he could, dropping everything to save people from the fire, even though the guards were handling things just fine. He was obviously hoping to show up too late and find you already dead.
So Tartuccio is tarring us here with the terrible brush of helping people not die in a fire. And again, diplomacy on both options, but the choice for Hamid is clear at this point. We're definitely neutral good over neutral evil. People were dying right in front of me? How could I just walk by?
Really, Tartuccio? You're seriously trying to blame someone for saving people from a fire?
And Jamandi is definitely not convinced by Tartuccio at this point.
Spare me from ever having to make such a choice, but he behaved decently as a true leader.
And you can see here, I mentioned, so Lindsey is a follower of the god Shellin, and I mentioned this, some words are highlighted in dialogue, and if you mouse over them, you get a tooltip, which is like world knowledge that your character would have, so which is great.
A true leader is someone who has their priorities straight, not someone who would put a valuable ally's life in danger.
So that dialogue line certainly puts me off Jathael a bit. Earlier, she was all about self-determination for the people who already lived in the lands we were being sent to, but now she seems to say that we should not put servants' lives in danger. We should not care about servants and only care about important people, which is not something I agree with.
Enough squabbling. I'm still not sure which of you I can trust. However, the risk of entrusting the whole affair to a spy is too great. Here's what we'll do. 2 teams will head out. That way, I'll know at least one group can be counted on to serve my interests in the stolen lands.
Lady Aldori, most of those who were to set off for the stolen lands have been killed. Those who yet live will require help. Please allow me to join the expedition.
I'm sad to lose such a talented warrior. But you're right, Valerie. They have greater need of you right now. Go, and may Abadar keep you. Which of the 2 teams would you prefer to accompany?
So basically, the whole upshot of this scene is some of the NPCs are going to choose to accompany you, some of them are going to choose to accompany Tartuccio. Now, in the fullness of the game, every NPC can potentially be recruited to your larger party. but it's quite cool that there's this little, you know, all these choices in this early part of the game affect which NPCs join your party straight off and affect the composition of your party right at the beginning. We're almost out of time, so I'm just going to reach the end of this scene and then we'll save and quit.
If my leader allows, I would join his team. He seems a worthy commander.
So Valerie wants to come with us, and Valerie seems cool. We're happy with that.
Commanders, military leaders, all these laws and rules are but dust and vanity.
And basically, because we've completely failed our diplomacy checks with Harem earlier, and it was only Tartuccio who managed to convince him to get up and participate, Harem chooses to go with Tartuccio.
Our leader is good in battle, but I don't like all the spiritual agonizing. I prefer those who can act without wasting time helping every little pipsqueak. Those like Tartuccio.
I mean, if that's Jithal's attitude, I'm going to have to be honest. She's welcome to go with Tartuccio.
Tartuccio's going to take the credit for himself and be done with it. Shellen, spare me from such allies. I'm going with you.
Lindsey, of course, is coming with us because she is our future girlfriend.
As for me, I know neither of these two. At least not well enough. And I have no wish to become an unwitting pawn.
KSC is apparently a DLC character, so can't join your party at this point unless you've bought the DLC that includes her.
This attack is inflicted. But who knows? The road may bring me to the stolen lands, but not yet.
You may not be wrong, Varia, but we will see.
Need to think. I'm coming with this man. As for you, Purple Toad, just wait until we meet along the way. I'll be sure to hang your rotten spy guts from the trees.
I love Amiri. She's so badass.
All right, we have 2 teams. To avoid unnecessary conflict on the road, you'll each take a different route to the Stolen Lands. Tartuccio's team will go through Navacta's Crossing. The garrison commandant will provide him all the help he needs. You will take your team to Oleg Leviton's trading post. He's been complaining about the Stag Lord's bandits for a while now. There, you'll be provided with all the necessary travel supplies. I'd like to believe you, but I know all too well how convincing traitors and spies can be. If you're truly innocent, I hope you can forgive me.
I think we
this
can.
precaution.
We can see how circumstances might have led Lady Jamandi Aldori to believe that we are in fact the spy, so we will simply have to redouble our efforts to prove her wrong. The Stag Lord is the local bandit kind of war chief who is terrorizing the people of the area of the country we're being sent to.
While you're away, Keston will investigate the night's events and learn who in Restov is working for Patox. But you should know that it isn't just Patox we need to worry about. The Royal House of
So remember, death is a risk in this game, and we were given a scroll of raised dead, which basically means, because resurrection is a common magic in this sort of world. So basically, if a party member died, we'd be able to deal with it with that scroll.
After that,
hopefully.
any feats you accomplish will be points.
So 3 months to deal with the Stag Lord. So there's a whole mechanism in the game for tracking the passage of days and the passage of time, and certain quests have time limits on them, which is pretty cool.
And now, farewell. This battle was but the first ordeal along your path, and you overcame it as true champions of Restov. May the obstacles that follow also fall to your feet. Fear nothing, my friends, and return victorious.
And then a pep talk. End dialogue. And we move on past the opening scene of the game. It's taken us the full 3 hours of the stream. But obviously it's a bit faster if you're playing it yourself and not
our small team set to
chatting
brave our fate.
the whole way through.
Beware,
and stuff.
Stolen Lands. Heroes are on the way.
So here we meet another feature of the game, map movement, and how we move around the map. And basically it's very simple. You have this big map showing the full world, and you just click an arrow, and this little miniature represents your party. I don't know if we have time for a random encounter. Oh dear. We may have to skip here. Can I save in the middle of combat? I don't know if I can. I might have to play out this combat very quickly, I'm afraid, everybody. Oh, and we're still hurt from before. Never mind. We'll start singing. Skip the turn. Come on, let's play through it very quickly. We don't have any spells left. Okay, let's use our crossbow. Fine. We're fighting thylacines, which are a sort of small leopard-type creature. They're attacking Valerie. Valerie's got super awesome armor. You can see this is our party. So the 3 NPCs that chose to come with us were Valerie, Lindsey, and Amiri. And that's a really cool party. I'm very happy with that. Let's see which of these enemies we can kill very quickly. So Valerie successfully killed that enemy. Amiri killed that enemy. Oh, and can move as well. So let's just move you over there to flank. Lindsey can use the crossbow. Did some damage to the final enemy. Hamid uses his crossbow. Missed. Come on. The enemy missed. Valerie missed. Level 1 characters constantly missing in combat. Amiri. Kaboom. Right, good. Combat over. Oh, and we can camp and rest, and the game's now telling us how to do that. We can skin the enemies and loot their skins to sell later, but thylacine skins are not worth very much, so we actually won't. Right. Save game. Exit to desktop. Whew. Okay, guys. There we go. Quick, let me transition back to a different view. Let's transition to this one. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that insight into the world of Pathfinder Kingmaker. I love this game. Like I said, I've put quite a lot of hours into it by playing through. I've played through only a fraction of the game. As I said, I've played through Chapter 1 twice and Chapter 2 once. And I believe there's something like 5 or even maybe 6 chapters in the game. It's a big game. And you can see we're barely only through Chapter 1. And it's taken us 3 hours. I think this is a big game. So, I don't mind spending a bunch of money on it for that reason. Varia, yes, please do go to sleep. You can see, yeah, as I said, I don't know if I'm going to continue streaming the game. Part of me would like to, but I know that the game isn't always perfect, and it does bring up a lot of issues. Of some of the issues with D&D and Pathfinder and the traditional stories that these games are built to tell, and how they can be a little problematic. It would take it would be so many streams to play through the whole game. I honestly don't know if it would be entertaining for other people if I did the whole damn thing, because it is a lot, even if I would enjoy it. But yeah, I'd love to talk about the mechanical implementation. We did see a few times how in the game log the dice rolls were popping up, and you could look at how the game was actually playing out. We saw briefly the character sheet scene and the inventory scene and how we manage those. What we didn't quite reach is we're not very far. If we checked, we're not very far from we're not very far from leveling up and getting our first level up and leveling up to level 2. And I don't know what it is, but there's very few processes I enjoy more in a computer game than getting to level up a character in an RPG-style computer game. It's just so much fun to me. I love being like, ooh, points! Where can I put them? New abilities, new spells! It brings me joy. I don't know, it just does. That's how it works. And I wish I'd been able to demonstrate that today, but obviously we didn't get quite that far. We weren't far off, but it's super fun. But yeah, it's really fun, and obviously it would be a little bit weird potentially to play through the whole game. As I've said, there can be moments where sort of choices are put into Hamid's mouth that I feel a bit weird about, and if I'm just playing the game as a computer game character, that doesn't bother me nearly as much. Playing it as Hamid, who I've played for 5 years and do have quite a connection to, and I feel protective of as kind of maintaining some semblance, I hope, of a logical character there. And yeah, the game sort of forcing choices on you is is easier when you've made a character just for the game than if you're playing as a character that's sort of from outside the game in a way. So I don't know how much that might spoil my experience, to be honest. It would be a bit, it'd certainly be a bit weird at times. But I think the game is great, and I'd love to continue playing it and talking about the choices I'm making and the things I like and don't about the game. Yeah, we'll see. As I said, the Rusty Quill Streams project is still expanding. There may be future opportunities for me to stream more. There's other games I'd love to show. But in the meantime, you can always check out my own personal streams on Braves for Fibblethip. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter under the same name. And if you ever want to check out a different game I'm streaming, please do drop by. Some streams have content warnings associated with them, so please check in with those as well. Because it's a really good idea to make responsible and informed choices when it comes to engaging with streams. I really appreciate everyone joining for me today. Did I miss any shout-outs? I think I got them all as they happened, hopefully. Yeah, anyone who subbed or gifted bits or anything got their shout-out. I really appreciate everyone joining me and doing all those things. It's been great. It's been super fun hanging out with you guys. Quick plug for future streams. On tomorrow afternoon at his normal stream time, 5 p.m, Anil will be streaming some more of the Wolf Among Us right here on Rusty Quill Streams. That's been an interesting game so far. Then after that, the next stream on Rusty Quill, the Rusty Quill channel, is Mike and Lucky Bones streaming Dead by Daylight together on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Mike and Frank Voss, the voice act for Basira in the Magnus Archives, will be streaming some Raft together. Saturday stream and Sunday stream are at 2 or 3. I don't remember the exact times. Yeah, there's some good streams coming up in the near future on the Rusty Quill channel. And a lot of Rusty Quill people do stream on their own channels, so please do look out for information about that. I'm not going to plug them all here, that would take too long, but there's some really good streams happening from lots of different members of the Rusty Quill family on associated channels. So do check those out, follow people on Twitter, find out what streams interest you, and join us for more streams in future. Thank you so much, guys. It's been really fun today. I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I have. And yeah, if anyone ever wants to chat to me about Pathfinder Kingmaker, hit me up on Twitter and let me know how you're finding the game. Or on Discord. I'm not around on Discord as much as I used to be, but I'm still there sometimes, and I'm always interested in chatting about that kind of thing. And yeah, I'd love to hear what sort of characters you make and what sort of experiences you're having with the game. And as I said, I've only just finished chapter 2 on one of my playthroughs, and I don't know if I'm going to continue that playthrough or continue as Hamid, so I may not have got very far. So if you've gotten to the latter portions of the game, I'd love to hear about your experience with that. So thank you so much today, guys, and I hope I will see you around on social media or in other streams in the near future. Bye for now.